poorly to do well, and to help those who are doing well to do even better. A good objective of leadership is to help those who are doing poorly to do well, and to help those who are doing well to do even better. The common thread that runs through this is improvement. So if you are a leader, one of the biggest things on your hands is to improve your team, improve the people around you, improve the group you supervise. Those who are at level 1 should move up to level 2, and those who are at level 2 should move up to level 3, and it goes on and on and on. Because that is really what you seek. You want to get your team, you want to get the people you lead, you want to get your own self doing better than before. It's a brand new year, so improvement is key. So if you are leading people this year, on the 12th day of January 2023, ask yourself, what am I doing to move those who are doing poorly upwards? And what am I doing to help those who are doing well to do even better? Because that is a good objective of leadership. Improvement. Refining the process and getting things and people to be better than they were before. That's our business sense for the morning. Brought to us by ADB. ADB, truly agric and more. Coming up next is the newspaper review. This is the Citi Breakfast Show. Stick and stick. a barrister? Do the two mean the same?
No, I mean, strictly speaking, within the England and Wales, which is the home of the law as we know it, you have the solicitor and the barrister. The barrister's job basically is to be the advocate on his feet in the courtroom, making the case that this client, deserves the discretion of the court to be exercised in his favor.
Like a defense attorney.
Yeah, that's right. So in the courtroom.
Okay.
In the courtroom.
That's right. Or perhaps elsewhere where, the room allows for a barrister to perform. There may be employment tribunal or maybe some arbitration center.
I see.
But the solicitor's job is basically to put the paperwork together.
I see.
You understand? So that is the distinction. So if you have a case and Kukui is a solicitor, Kukui then will see you first. You will take your matter to Kukui. Now, Kukui's job is to now look for the best possible, barrister in that space to take up the case, because she would have finished the paperwork and then hand the brief over to me, the barrister, to go to the courtroom and say, my lord, my client.
But both are lawyers.
Yeah, I mean, in the broad umbrella sense,
and
they are.
You can't be one and the same?
No, you can do the course subsequently.
Okay, you can do
but it is difficult to be a barrister.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, solicitor, with the greatest respect to all the solicitors. I'm talking about England and Wales.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Here, there's a fusion where you have solicitor and barrister.
So when you go through the Ghanaian system,
that's right.
You come out as the two.
Yeah, that's right.
2 in 1.
That's right.
I see.
That's right.
If you go through the English and Welsh system, you come out as a solicitor first.
Either a barrister
or a solicitor, depending on your training.
In America, it's also most lawyers, like you were saying, if a client is looking for help, they'll just go to a lawyer who will function as a barrister for them.
And then
straight away, or an attorney, a defense attorney.
Yeah, but even in Ghana, you still have people who are doing purely solicitors.
Wow.
That's right.
They put the briefs together, do the paperwork.
Who are some that you know? Who are purely solicitors?
Immediately, of course, Asari Ostradako, who is Gabi, his law firm, although they do some litigation, majority of the times they are doing
solicitors.
Yeah.
I see. Anyway, education for the morning.
Yes, indeed.
All right, let's get Yes. What are the papers saying this morning?
Well, they're talking about the mining industry on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. $10 billion. Yes, a $10 billion boost for the mining industry as new local content and participation regulations take effect. Also, GIMS College fails to register students for the WASI. Exempt us from domestic debt exchange program. These are pensioners and bondholders forum. Now, people are speaking out now. They're like, hey, you ain't gonna touch our money. And we're saving. We're saving $3 million monthly, employing local engineers at Atuabo. So that's the Ghana Gas MD talking about money that Ghana Gas has saved over the past few years. So that's on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. Now Isaac Dogwe, he's getting ready to fight. Yes, for the WBO title. The Royal Storm. Kotoko drop points again. Yes. And Lagos Cities were saved from defeat by their goalkeeper Sylvester Saki. That's on the back page.
Charlie, but where is Vora Depa? Vora, no. The Vora, no, Charlie will revive it. Daily Graphic says road fatalities down by 20%.
Good.
Lowest in 20 years. That's good news. We must sustain the decline and save more lives on the roads. Also on the front page this morning, retirees call for debt exchange exemption. And boost for local content. Mining investments receipts reach $10 billion. Also, we are told National Cathedral Project, wise decision. Our
own General Superintendent of the Good morning, Pastor Wengham.
Yeah, also Wengham. Good morning.
Our very own. No. Pastor Wengham, yes, we have to come and visit Pastor Wengham. Formally and officially. To congratulate him on his new role. Yes.
And this matter, we'll talk about it inside the room.
Let me go to the Inquisitor front page. Gensa deal. Energy Ministry white as snow. Wow. Also, Lands Ministry to fight Galamsey with 4 new aircraft. And celebrity dampari sparks anger.
Why?
Why are they calling him Celebrity Dampare?
Oh, they should stop that. The man is doing the job.
Over promotions in police service.
Oh, I see.
Yes, that's what they're talking about. That's the Inquisitor front page today.
The Supreme newspaper says this morning, stop running down the country. MPA boss urges Ghanaians. Hey. Mustafa, I've seen your video lately. You were trying to rescue this country. Don't talk like that. I mean, people are not running down the country. They want the best for the country. Ghana Gas completes 152 CSR projects, many more to come. And then also Stop the Troubles. Adan West Dissect won self-acclaimed chief as a legitimate chief has been determined. Many matters, chieftaincy song.
Okay. The new crusading guide from page, mineral investments and receipts to hit $10 billion US. Risks involved in Gensa deal, Ghana Gas Staff Association reveals. Paul Chumberima tops as best first-time MP in Parliament. Suhum MP accounts to constituents, and there's more in the new crusading guide today.
The Daybreak says this morning, Katie Hammond stages coup as reshuffle looms. Also, Major Steel's 27,000 US dollars money changer. I don't understand. Okay. Or maybe the money changer is 27,000 US dollars worth. And then another story here that says contribute to fix the economy. The MPA boss rallies citizens. That's another version of the story I brought to your attention earlier, the headline.
Okay. If you go to the online portals, they also have their own raft of stories. CitiNewsroom.com says, debt exchange program oppressive. Senor Hosi slams government.
Okay.
Other stories, expect tougher times in 2023 first quarter. That's according to Professor Gachi. A political science lecturer is saying cabinet ministers resigning will distract government business. And Professor Godfred Brockbing says government can't be trusted to tame inflation. Okay, and John Jinapo says gold for oil deal, a recipe for disaster.
Okay.
If you go to citybusinessnews.com, Ghana Gas granted Gensa discounted gas price in 2019. Energy Minister clarifies.
Okay.
And they have a raft of other stories, including inflation for December jumps to 54.1%. That is worrying. And benchmark discount reversal. Government can rake in 9 billion cedis at ports. That's according to a tax analyst. And the finance minister says we can't exempt insurance industry from debt exchange. Hey!
Insurance,
This guy.
Hey, Sanya me wagene. Hey, citysportsonline.com. Wolves pay the penalty as Forest advanced to semis. This is the Carabao Cup. Nottingham Forest lost. They beat Wolves via the shootouts. Dean Henderson was the hero, and the sad thing is that he can't play against his parent club, Man United. He's always wanted that. It won't happen, Mr. Henderson. Not in this life. Moving on. GBC honors 95-year-old Joe Latte with new portrait painting.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I saw excerpts of that interview. He's still very sharp, very sound. He knows what he's saying. Other stories, Street to Champions project set to be launched. And Fatari Sahaku reportedly seeks loan move away from Sporting Club. And no Ghanaian coach has applied for Black Stars job.
Why?
According to Henry Asante Chum of the GFA.
Nathan, you should apply.
No, I beg you. The Black Stars, let me not say anything. Anyway, myjoyonline.com. They also have their own stories. DVLA interdicts 4 staff implicated in Joy News' Money Over Human Lives documentary.
I see.
Reject domestic debt exchange program. Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum is speaking. And John Jinapo says gold for oil deal is a charade. So all these stories are making the rounds locally. If you go to the international front, the BBC says second batch of classified Biden documents found. So a few days ago, it emerged that some documents had been or were discovered in his private office, and the BBC is reporting that they've discovered more.
Remember when they went to our house at Mar-a-Lago?
Your house at Mar-a-Lago.
Trump's place.
Yes, to claim that we had taken some classified documents away.
But I saw a comparison. They said, if you compare the two, Biden's documents, they don't hurt national security. Other stories though. Russia replaces commander of Ukraine invasion force, and collapsed crypto giant FTX recovers $5 billion of assets. And for those who love their rock music, guitar legend Jeff Beck dies aged 78. All right, let's get into the papers.
Yes, indeed. Okay, the center spread of the Ghanaian Times this morning, the Pensioners Bondholders Forum, they say exempt us from domestic debt exchange program. So over 200 pensioners who hold government bonds have petitioned the government to exempt them from the domestic debt exchange program, or DDEP. They argued that they should be given the same exemption given to pension funds being regulated by the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. The basis for the exemption of the pension funds by the government was to ensure that pension incomes to would-be retirees were not impaired for them to become a burden on others when on retirement. The convener of the forum, Dr. Edu A. Entry, at a press conference in Accra yesterday, noted that the basis for the exemption of the pension funds holds good for the exemption of the investments of pensioners in government bonds from DDEP. We therefore hereby passionately appeal to your good office to exclude all pensioner bondholders from the DDEP, as the impact of the program on pensioners who are bondholders will be very severe, he added. According to him, most pension bondholders made investments in government securities with the expectation that the coupons would supplement the pension received through the Tier 1 pension scheme under SNIT. These government bonds are considered everywhere as gilt-edged and the safest securities to invest in. And as pensioners, we had the greater motivation to invest these securities for both safety and liquidity considerations. He, however, explained that a lot of pensioners who were equally vulnerable in society would not live long enough to receive their investments given the amended and restated exchange memorandum. And he said that the best way to address the issue is to engage the pensioners in a negotiation because they are ready to engage the government in that regard.
So still on that story, there's a section in the Ghanaian, the Daily Graphic, which I have difficulties with. If you go to page 16, a section in the story says, Dr. Anani Enchi said, the government must, quote and unquote, on compassionate grounds, grant a request for exemption in line with the exemptions granted pension funds. It goes on to say that the basis for the exemption of pension funds is to ensure that pension incomes for retirees are not impaired for them to become burdens on others when on retirement. You read a section of that earlier. We believe strongly that the basis for exemption granted to pension funds holds good, which you said. But you see, my problem really is with the compassionate grounds. Look, this is their money. And the government cannot compel them to hand their money over because the law does not support that position. So these people have worked. Look, we are here because someone was irresponsible to run the economy the way it was run. That's how come we are here. So the idea that people who are poor, people who manage to put something together so that in their frailties they will be able to put body and soul together. You want to collect their money. We should not be talking about compassionate grounds.
Not at all.
Certainly not.
It's a non-starter.
Well, if you go to citinewsroom.com, Senior Jose, who's the convener of the Individual Bondholders Forum, has described the government's domestic debt exchange program as oppressive. Now, he said if the debt program was allowed to go through, about 60 to 70% of individual bondholders' investments may be automatically eroded. Now, we do know that the previous stance taken by the government was that individual bondholders would be exempted. Now, we know that that is not the case anymore. And the deadline has been extended to January 16. Mr. Hosi was on Eyewitness News, and he was saying that, quote, today I see people's livelihoods eroding away. In some cases, 60 to 70% of their wealth is gone. Some may not even live to benefit from the current program. It's a very sad situation, and I'm awakening to that responsibility. What's going on, it's not right. He described it as BS for those who understand what it means. He says it's oppressive and it defeats the entire process of finance. End quote. Now, staying with that subject, the latest one we've heard from government is that insurance companies are also part, or they cannot be exempted. Now, this story is on citibusinessnews.com. And it says the Ministry of Finance has categorically stated that it cannot exempt the insurance industry from the debt exchange program. The Ghana Insurance Association in December 2022 called for the exemption of insurance companies from the domestic debt exchange program. According to the association, 40% of its total assets for the third quarter of 2022 were invested in Government of Ghana securities. Hence, any attempt to give its members a haircut will spell doom for the sector. But in a letter signed by the finance minister, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, to the president of the Ghana Insurance Association, the finance ministry stated that it had made some adjustments to the debt exchange program due to feedback from the industry, but could not exempt the insurance industry.
You know, the interesting thing about that is, if I'm not mistaken, they're actually mandated to do that. It's part of their regulations. The insurance companies, they're mandated to hold some of their
they're like a pension management funds.
Yes. For you to now turn around and say, well, even though we told you have to keep your money with us in this form, we're gonna have to keep some of that money. I mean,
it's just even annoying that we like the people, they continue the way they are. They are not respecting anybody. They assume they are in charge. I mean, really.
You see,
I mean, Charlie, look. I mean, you don't drive people into a ditch and still the language is the body language, basabi, as if Charlie, as for the Ghana there, Charlie, you own them. What kind of Charlie?
Anyway, let me go to page 12 of the Ghanaian Times, right? We're talking about local content. There's two stories here where, interestingly, local content seems to be paying some good dividends, right? So, $10 billion boost for mining industry as new local content and participation regulations take effect. So, following an increase in items on the procurement list for the provision of goods and services, and that increase was from 41 to 50 in the mining industry, investment and mineral receipts have hit nearly $10 billion. Now, this is as a result of coming into force of the minerals and mining local content and local participation regulations. The purpose of this is, among other things, to promote job creation using local expertise, goods and services in the mining industry and their retention in the country. The law is also to achieve the minimum in-country spending on goods and services and to create mining and mineral-related industries that will sustain economic development. Now, in relation to that, also, Ghana Gas is talking about how they have saved nearly $3 million monthly by employing local engineers. So the managing director of Ghana Gas, Dr. Benasanti, revealed that as part of the company's move to indigenize its operations, it has replaced Chinese expatriates running their Turbo plant with local engineers, a move that saves the company some $3 million in operations cost every month. He made the revelation when he took his turn at the State of the Agencies report, which is a regular press engagement platform by SIGA, the State Interest and Governance Authority, in collaboration with Ministry of Information. He said after incorporation in July of 2011, Ghana Gas went through a period of construction of infrastructure. At the end of November 2014, they finished what they called mechanical completion. Then they went through a period of commissioning, which took about 6 months. So by end of April 2015, the plant was fully commissioned and pipelines attendant to plant also were commissioned. But all that time, the plant was being operated by Chinese. He said, we like to work with Chinese, but we didn't want to stay with them for too long. Indigenous Ghanaian engineers and technicians took over the operations. He said, I've worked in this industry for 31 years, and this is the first time I've seen such a turnaround, having foreign operators cede operatorship to indigenous engineers and technicians in the shortest time, which is 3 years. And through that, we saved $3 million a month because that is how much we pay the Chinese per month.
Okay, so let me take you to a story that is on page 24 of the Daily Graphic, talking about how students can continue with their education despite the difficulties that many still face. Students Loan Trust opens application portal. Emmanuel Bonnet reporting says that the Students Loan Trust Fund has opened its online application portal for students interested in securing loans under the no guarantor system for the new academic year. Now, it has therefore urged students in the various tertiary institutions, especially fresh students, to take advantage of the platform to apply for loans to facilitate their studies. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the fund, Nana Kweku Ejeyeboa, disclosed this in an interview with the Daily Graphic in Accra yesterday. And we're told that last year, the last academic year, they expended or disbursed some 64,650 64,650,000 Ghana cedis to some 32,744 students. Also on the front page. Yes,
the front page. I wanted you to mention this.
Exactly. There's this story about road fatalities, and we are told that it's down by, or they are down by 20%. And my good friend Timothy Nyengbe, writing for the Daily Graphic, says this morning that although road crashes and fatalities remain a grave concern in the country, latest statistics indicate that For the first time in 20 years, in 2002, crashes on the roads reduced by 20%. Now, the statistics made it available to the Daily Graphic by the National Road Safety Authority indicated that from January to December last year, out of the 14,960 reported road crashes, 2,373 people lost their lives. Now, those crashes, which involved 25,754 vehicles, caused injuries to some 15,690 people. And it goes on to give you a background comparing the figures to previous years. Now, if you go to page 36, there's an opinion piece there by Prosper Andre Batinge, and he says that road accidents, worrying trend unfolds in Ghana and Senegal, basically doing some comparison in terms of what's happening in Senegal and then also in Ghana. So grab a copy of the Daily Graphic, go to page 36 and read that opinion piece for yourself.
Okay, final story.
Final story, very quickly. We were talking about education yesterday. Now, EduWatch is raising concerns over funding for basic schools ahead of this academic year. Africa Education Watch, they're calling on the government to take steps to facilitate the smooth supply of textbooks and the disbursement of funds to ensure a smooth operation of basic and senior high schools. The education think tank says the budget cuts on education for the 2022-23 academic year will be a major hurdle that needs to be curtailed to prevent the closure of schools way into the academic year. Now, Divine, who spoke to City News, that's us, of course, said that the academic calendar went through some challenges last year and that should be prevented going into this year. He says it's going to be a difficult year for basic education because of the budget cuts that basic education has experienced. When you look at the goods and services line, it has been reduced by 44%.
Wow.
I see, that's huge.
Before we go, though, let me do this quick one on the center spread. National Cathedral Project wise decision, Reverend Stephen Wengam, here, and Donald Atuda Patem reporting from Jubilee House. So it says that the decision to build the National Cathedral is a wise one. The General Superintendent of the Assemblies of God Church, Ghana, Reverend Stephen Yenusom Wengam, has said. Now, there's a quote here that says, "For us Pentecostals, we know very well the value of a temple. Solomon has gone into history as a wise and great leader because he built a temple for God, and it is a symbol that signifies the unity of our faith," he added. Now, Reverend Wengam was speaking when he led the leadership of the church to pay a courtesy call on President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo at the Jubilee House in Accra last Tuesday.
All right, that's how we wrap it up on the newspaper review. Thank you very much, Concrete. Thank you very much, Richard. Coming up next is the City Business News.
We're sorry to interrupt this program for a breaking news story. Information reaching us is that the whole country has been thrown into a state of joy and excitement about the new look of Total Energies lubricants. Our correspondent Kwame Owusu is standing by to bring us the very latest developments. Kwame, what exactly is the situation where you are?
Emmanuel, I must say there's a huge crowd here with drivers and customers extremely excited about the new Total Energies lubricants bottle. I have with me here one of the drivers. Hello, boss.
Yes,
you are live on Quartz 202.1 FM. Tell us the reason for your joy.
My name is Wawo, and for 10 years, I use only Total Energies lubricants for efficiency and performance of my car engine. With a new bottle, it's easier to read, carry, and pour. New bottle design and color, new label, new cap, and security features with the QR code. Masa is the same superior oil quality. Challenge, this is performance at first sight.
So you heard it right. Total Energies lubricants bottle have been entirely redesigned into a modern and premium pack to give you the best experience. Reporting live from the capital, this is Kwame Owusu.
Quartz, keep your engine younger for longer.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CityCBS.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Hello and welcome to the breakfast edition of Citi Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN, Grow, Enterprise Life Your Advantage, Access Bank More Than Banking, and powered by your most comprehensive business website, citibusinessnews.com. Coming up, economist Godfred Bokpin urges government to introduce measures to sustain momentum in the rise of the country's inflation, and Ghana Gas accrues 3 million Ghana cedis from local operations. To our stories now, and the Ghana Statistical Service has indicated that the high inflation figures recorded for transportation, fuels, utilities and food items was largely responsible for the soaring inflation levels recorded for December 2022. Inflation for the month of December rose to 54.1%, meaning that in the month of December 2022, the general price levels was 54.1% higher than the same period in 2021. Government statistician Professor Samuel Kobneinim explained that the rise in inflation for the period under review.
With the national rate of inflation of 54.1%, we identified 5 out of the 13 divisions that recorded rate of inflation higher than the national average of 54.1%. This was led by housing, water, electricity and gas and other fuels, 82.34%, followed by furnishing, household equipment, 71.52%. Transport came third with 71.42%. Personal care, social protection, and miscellaneous goods and services, 60.94%. And last was food and non-alcoholic beverages, 59.71%. All these 5 divisions recorded inflation rates higher than the national average of 54.1% for the month of December 2022. On a month-on-month basis, keeping in mind the national average of 3.8%, we equally identified 5 divisions that on a month-on-month basis recorded inflation rates higher than the national average. This was led by transport with 6.65%, followed by furnishing, household equipment 5.04%, all recording inflation rates higher than the national average of 3.8%. While we identified housing, water, electricity and gas recording the overall higher inflation of 82.34%, its contribution to overall inflation was 15.7%.
That was the government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnaini. Meanwhile, economist Professor Godfred Bokpin is urging government to implement more robust measures to sustain the momentum in the rise of the country's inflation rate. Inflation shot up by 3.8% to end 2022 at 54.1%. Despite a strong improvement in the value of the cedi and a reduction in the prices of petroleum products, the rate of inflation still went up in December 2022. However, the rate of increase in inflation slowed down. In an interview with Citi Business News, he called for more measures to check the structural changes of the economy.
If you look at when the recovery peaked towards the middle of December, the understanding is that it wouldn't have transmitted through the channel at the time that Ghana Statistical Service will be picking the data for December 2022. And therefore, that view became more or less like the norm, that inflation was likely to rise slightly, maybe at a slower rate than before, because of what happened with the cedi and also its effect on price build-up in terms of inflation. So overall, we wouldn't say that 54.1% is completely a surprise, but it just tells you that we are not out of the woods yet. Even though we see a little bit of slowdown in the price build-up, we need to be able to sustain the momentum and then also begin to also address some of the structural issues at the production level, so that at the end of the day we begin to see greater deceleration of inflation in a manner that would afford some level of stability and comfort for consumers.
That was economist Professor Godfred Bokpin. Domestic airline operators in Ghana are lamenting the impact of the poor performance of the local currency against other international currencies on their businesses. The operators maintain that although they sell their tickets in cedis, other transactions by the industry are made in international rates. Samuel Abdul Razak Tiji is the corporate affairs manager of Passion Air, and he's been speaking to Citi Business News.
We do have a lot of concerns as an industry because as an industry, especially the domestic industry, don't forget we sell our tickets in cities, and about 98% of our transactions are in the forex. So for instance, the spare parts we buy for the aircraft are all in the forex. We can't use cities to go and buy them from outside and come in. And so usually you would appreciate our concerns when you sell in CDs and then you have to change it to the dollar and then go and buy. So you know the business implications of that. So it's not been easy, but we believe things can get better.
That was the Corporate Affairs Manager of Passion Air, Samuel Abdul Razak Tichi. The Ghana National Gas Company Limited says it saves the country about $3 million per month through its localized operations. The state company maintains that since local engineers took over active operations from the Chinese, it has recorded significant gains that protect the national pairs from avoidable waste. Speaking at the State of the Agency's Reports Forum organized by the Ministry of Information, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Gas Company Limited, Dr. Benjamin Asante, urged stakeholders to create an enabling environment for the energy sector to thrive.
Indigenous Ghanaian engineers and technicians took over the operation of this plant. Now, I say this not in jest, but not seriousness. I've actually, this is the first time that I've seen a turnaround. In other words, having foreign operators cede operatorship to indigenous engineers and technicians the shortest time, 3 years. And this was March of 2017. That all those who were operating our plants and pipelines. Now, whilst we are at it, we're saving $3 million a month. Because that's about how much we're paying the Chinese to operate it for us. Now, it was difficult. And I tell you, we love the Chinese, but even the operating manuals were in Chinese. So all you have to do is just sit and just look at them. It was a very difficult experience.
Dr. Benjamin Asante is the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Gas Company Limited. The Ghana Enterprises Agency has revealed that it has disbursed more than 60 million Ghana cedis to over 800 small and medium-sized enterprises in the country. This forms part of the COVID-19 response grant program being implemented by the government through the agency. Speaking during the national launch of the SME Growth Grants Program, CEO of GE, Madam Kusi Yankee, added that over 3,000 jobs have also been created in the process.
So far, 2 main interventions have successfully been implemented: the Phase 1 and the Phase 2 of the COVID Response Grant Program. And this current SME High Growth Program is the third intervention. And for me, it is the most important intervention. In the past 2 interventions, over 65 million Ghana cedis was disbursed and committed to 800 plus SMEs between September 2021 to December 2022. Almost 40% of them were women-owned enterprises. Out of these, 800 SMEs at a value of more than 23 million Ghana cedis was spent on women-focused interventions.
That was the CEO of the Ghana Enterprises Agency, Madam Kusi Yankee Aye, speaking at the launch of the SME Growth Grants Program. Now on the interbank foreign exchange market, where banks trade amongst themselves, the dollar remained unchanged and is selling at 9 cedis. The British pound gained 3 pesos and is selling at 10 cedis 94 pesos. The euro gained 1 peso and is selling at 9 cedis 7 pesos. However, at some forex bureaus within the capital, the dollar is going for 12 cedis 30 pesos, the British pound is selling for 14 cedis 30 pesos, and the euro is selling for 12 cedis 20 pesos. Let's now join Mark John and Sika Nate of Data Bank for the latest updates on the bonds market.
On Tuesday, the Ghanaian secondary bond market opened the week on a down note, recording a total volume traded of 7.5 million Ghana cedis. Near-term maturity instrument dominated trades, contributing approximately 98% of the total volume. The Data Bank Bond Index increased by 0.13 to 81.32 points, translating into a year-to-date return of 0.07%. This week, the Ghanaian Treasury aims to raise 1.13 billion Ghana cedis for the 91-day bills to the 364-day bills at Friday's money market auction. At the last auction, the 91-day yield closed at 35.66%, while the 182-day yield closed at 35.95%. Additionally, the 364-day yield closed at 35.89%.
That was Mark Jordan Sika Nate of Databank. And that does it for the breakfast edition of City Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN, Goal, Enterprise Life Your Advantage, and Access Bank, more than banking, and powered by your most comprehensive business news website, citybusinessnews.com. My name is Netili Nete Ajaho. Have a good business day.
I think Galamsey is a mental problem. It's a mental problem. It's a mindset problem that you think you can steal today and still eat your cake tomorrow. I think that if you could go to the next slide, that we have to appreciate to fix and restore is always more expensive than to spoil. Spoiling takes an instant. Those of you who are in married or relationships, you slap your spouse. I'm not recommending this. It takes a second to do that action, but I'm telling you, pay for it for the rest of your life.
Yes.
So it is better not to spoil it in the first place. My third point is that a full-time problem like Galamsey cannot be solved by part-time responses.
So at all times, the costs continue to go very, very high. And I think that if PURC can allow us to pass on the cost to the citizens, yes, politically it might have some implications. But when people begin to see the cost, I'm sure we'll all go onto the rivers and directly get the people who are doing that damage away. If we don't take that seriously, I'm sure even our rivers will die.
What is the worst case scenario we will see in the next 6 months if we don't stop this now? You've said 100% in some areas polluted, 60 some. Yeah. What's the worst case scenario with regards to our water security as a country in the next 6 months?
The immediate one will be that probably we will not get treated water from that water company. They will have to shut down. The long term is that most of their equipments will be destroyed forever and they have to bring in, so it goes back to the investments. But apart from just us getting water to drink, agriculture is affected already. We are going to have food security issues, not just water security. Economic growth will suffer. We are already in a system where we are struggling to see how best we can come out of this. So it is a complete system.
All the latest from the world of sport. Is time for kickoff.
Good morning, it's time for kickoff here on 97.3 City FM. My name is Daniel Cranting. In the headlines, over 60 coaches have applied for the vacant Black Stars job. Asante Kotoko drop points at Tamale City, and Manchester City have been dumped out of the Carabao Cup. Kickoff is brought to you by Lesheho. To our first story on Communications Director of the Ghana Football Association, Henry Asante Chum, says over 60 coaches have applied for the vacant Black Stars job. According to Asante Chum, most of the applicants are European coaches who are vying to replace Otuado, who exited the role following Ghana's exit from the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. He was speaking in an interview with Accra-based Asempa FM.
Maybe over 60 yes. Applications. Yes. You can't play at the World Cup on 4 occasions and think your brand is not attractive. Yeah. No, it's not possible. It's not possible. You cannot have Mohamed Kudus in your team and think your brand is not attractive. I think we showed very good signs given another platform, no? Because in a team where Jiku, Mate, Salisu, Andre Ayew, Jordan, Osman, Bukari, Thomas Partey, Mohamed Kudus, Kamaldeen Suleiman, Kamal. So you could still look on the bench and form another team. It is an attractive brand, no doubt about that. Most of them are European coaches and some of them too from South America.
He also revealed that the Ghana Football Association is considering converting the Ghanaman Soccer Center of Excellence in Pram Pram to a 3-star hotel using the $9.5 million earned from the FIFA World Cup.
At the last Executive Council meeting, a number of projects were proposed. We want to turn Pram Pram into an edifice that can house all our national teams, to be honest. At least a 3 or 4-star hotel. 3 or 4-star hotel with about 60 to 70 bedrooms. That is the plan of the association. Again, we want to try as much as possible to take all our junior national teams from the state stadia. And we have about 5,000 capacity stadium at Pram Pram.
You heard the communications director for the Ghana Football Association, Henry Asante Chum, speaking there. There was some Bet Power Premier League action yesterday in match week 12. Brecum Chelsea, they were 1-0 winners over Karela United. Legon Cities and Dreams FC played out a goalless draw. Midiama beat Nswatriman FC by 2-0, and Tamale City held on to draw 1-1 against Asante Kotoko. Asante Kotoko head coach Seydou Zerbo, who was speaking through his interpreter, blamed the lack of concentration for the draw.
We have drawn 3 consecutive matches, and this is an individual mistake from the defense. And we are leading, let's say, 6 minutes to the end of the game, and we lost concentration. They have an equalizer.
Meanwhile, assistant coach for Tamale City, Hamza Mohammed, believes his side deserved to win the game.
I'm very satisfied with my boys, but I'm not satisfied with the points. It's obvious that it's not a true reflection of the game. I think we should have won this game, but hey, football being what it is, we had our chances. We could not. We were punished by a fast break and an own goal. The boys showed character. Within 3 minutes, we equalized. We were showing more incursions, and unfortunately, we didn't get the winner. We'll take it like that and move on. I'm very, very, very positive we will stay afloat. Though the results have not been showing, we have so many positives in this game. This one, the last game that we played, we'll tap on it definitely. The next one is going to be against the Kumasi Universal. We'll take the positive, work on it, and then make sure we go and get that 3 maximum points in Kumasi.
You had assistant coach for Tamale City, Hamza Mohammed, speaking there. In today's fixtures, Indiana Stars will take on Kotoku Royals. Great Olympics will host Bibiani Gold Stars. Real Tamale United will take on Accra Lions, and Kim Faisal will play host to Accra Hearts of Oak. Let's do some boxing news now. Ghanaian boxer Isaac Dogbe has confirmed that his next fight will be against Robezi Ramirez from Cuba on April 1 this year for the WBO featherweight title. This ends uncertainty that arose when another boxing authority, the WBC, ordered a 28-year-old to reach an agreement with Filipino boxer Giselle Mark Magsayo by the end of January for a title eliminator. Speaking at a press briefing yesterday, the former junior featherweight champion insists fighting Ramirez for a world title is the best option for his career.
Yeah, I mean, Ramirez it's a title on the line, so it makes sense to just, go on that route rather than to get into another eliminator as of now. I mean, that isn't out of our view. It's also an important fight because, like I said, I'm here to fight the best fights out there, the big fight, the big names, and that is what I live for. That's why I fight. So for now, it's one challenge after the other, one day at a time, one fight at a time, one title at a time, and we keep going.
You heard Ghanaian boxer Isaac Dogbe speaking there. Manchester City, they were damned out of the Carabao Cup at the hands of Southampton in the quarter-final last night. Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola rested key players such as Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne with this weekend's derby with Manchester United at Old Trafford in mind. And Southampton took full advantage with 2 quick-fire goals in the first half from Sekou Mara and Musa Djenepo. Guardiola put the defeat down to his side, having a bad day at the office.
The best team won. They were better. We had a bad night and we didn't play good. We didn't react good in the bad start. We didn't perform well, and to win games, I'm not talking titles. Win games, you have to deserve it. So I want to deserve, when I win something, I want to deserve it. And today it was not the case. So that's why Southampton deserves to be in semi-finals in this competition. Altitude is always, it was a bad night, so I know them quite well, and today was not even close to what we are. We can pass the 3 days against Chelsea and today, so it's a big difference. So they were better. When they are better, we have to congratulate them, accept it, and improve.
You had Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola speaking there. Southampton, as a result of that win against Manchester City, will take on Newcastle in the semi-final. In the other semi-final, Manchester United will take on Nottingham Forest after Forest beat Wolves in the other quarter-final yesterday. Moving on, new Chelsea signing Joao Felix says he's ready to help the team reach their objectives after completing his loan move from Atletico Madrid. Chelsea have been beaten Premier League rivals Manchester United and Arsenal to signing the Portuguese forward, with neither side willing to pay the 11 million euros loan fee. The 23-year-old becomes Chelsea's 4th signing this month following the arrivals of Benoit Badiashile, David Dastro Fofana and Andrew Santos.
I'm very, very happy to be here in Chelsea. It's one of the great teams in the world, and to help the team reach the objectives. So I'm very happy and very excited to play here and to play in Stamford Bridge. So I don't know a lot of London, but I know it's a big city, it's a wonderful city, but now I'm focused on helping the team. I met one time Rhys James when I was in London in a restaurant. Amazing guy. I'll bring my football, my happiness on the game, and give a lot of fun to the fans. No, since I was a kid, I was grow up thinking on being professional. Every weekend, all games, not just Chelsea games, but even the last ones. I like to watch the games too because of the environment, the football. It's Premier League. I'm a player who wants to have the ball and play with happiness, and I want to make all the fans enjoy my football and help the team.
You heard new Chelsea signing Joao Felix speaking there. Let's do some tennis news before we go. And 4-time Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka has announced she is pregnant with her first child and is planning to return to action in next year's Australian Open. The 25-year-old pulled out of this month's first Grand Slam of the year last week with no official reason given for her withdrawal, but yesterday posted a picture of a baby scan on social media. Osaka's ranking has slipped to 47 and she has not played since September after withdrawing during the second round in Tokyo. She has won only one match this year since May and was beaten in the first round of her 3 previous tournaments, including the US Open, which she also won twice previously. That brings an end to Kickoff here on 97.3 Citi FM. My name is Daniel Cranting. For more sports news, visit citysportsonline.com. Kickoff was brought to you by Lecheho.
What is the worst case scenario we will see in the next 6 months if we don't stop this now? You've said 100% in some areas polluted, 60 some.
Yeah.
What's the worst case scenario with regards to our water security as a country in the next 6 months?
The immediate one will be that probably we will not get treated water from that water company. They will have to shut down. The long term is that most of their equipments will be destroyed forever and they have to bring in, so it goes back to the investments. But apart from just us getting water to drink, agriculture is affected already. We are going to have food security issues, not just water security. Economic growth will suffer. We are already in a system where we are struggling to see how best we can come out of this. So it is a complete system.
What is the worst case scenario we will see in the next 6 months if we don't stop this now?
We are resorting to more expensive chemicals to be able to get to be able to reduce the process losses. If you go to Odaso, if we were not using the polyelectrolyte, we might not have been able to even get up to 30% of the water to send to Obuasi. But with the use of the polyelectrolyte, we are doing about 50%. And so at every time you have to increase costs. If you are using the aluminum sulfate, you will have to use, the more aluminum sulfate you put in your water, the more other chemicals that you put in to correct your pH level. So at all times, the costs continue to go very, very high. And I think that if PURC can allow us to pass on the cost to the citizens, yes, politically it might have some implications. But when people begin to see the cost, I'm sure we'll all go onto the rivers and directly get the people who are doing that damage away. If we don't take that seriously, I'm sure even our rivers will die.
I think Galamsey is a mental problem. It's a mental problem. It's a mindset problem that you think you can steal today and still eat your cake tomorrow. I think that if you could go to the next slide, that we have to appreciate to fix and restore is always more expensive than to spoil. Spoiling takes an instant. Those of you who are in married or relationships, you slap your spouse. I'm not recommending this. It takes a second to do that action, but I'm telling you, pay for it for the rest of your life.
Yes.
So it is better not to spoil it in the first place. My third point is that a full-time problem like Galamsey cannot be solved by part-time responses.
All of that is part of our Effective Living series.
So don't be asking me why.
around it are just getting started. You have more and more and more personalities, more and more bodies, more groups, more people talking about it, more people voicing out their opposition to the program. We'll get into a bit of that later on the Citi Breakfast Show. So you can send in your messages on 0549 986 996.
So don't be asking me why I wanna be rich. Oh, I wanna be rich. Oh, I wanna be rich. Oh, I wanna be.
We've already done week 1. We are in week 2. And it's part of the 2023 starter pack. We call it Building Back Better. It's the start of a new year. You need to build again. So week 2, we are looking at emotional and mental health imperatives for 2023. In the third week, we'll talk about professional priorities, career things, world of work, how to get better, how to improve, how to climb up the ladder. And then in week 4, we talk about strategic foundations for 2023. Or financial foundations, for 2023. Financial foundations for 2023, because money is important too. Money is key. Somebody said money is king. The Holy Bible even says money answereth all things. The Effective Living series is on Citi 97.3 FM on the Citi Breakfast Show. between Monday and Thursday at 9 a.m. and on Citi TV's Breakfast Daily from Monday to Thursday from 9:30 a.m. and is sponsored by Enterprise Insurance and Hallmark Freight and Logistics Ghana Limited. Dora Oma. Tell her she's the most important person in my life and I always love her. That's from Jeff Oma.
Woman, you for you to go on. Woman, you so yes, man. Woman, you shall every you. I'm a Dutchess. Yeah, manage you. Yeah, make us a papa. I'm a candidate of Wolfen.
Ben Braco.
Yes,
Braco.
yes, yes.
Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben.
Apsu.
Oh, okay. He's an Apsu.
He is.
I see. I see. I see.
And Coco is an Apsu, right?
Coco is not Apsu. She went to.
Hobson.
She's a Hobson.
Oh, okay, very well.
She's a Hobson. So, but the Absus go with the Hobson.
Okay, very well.
Because
so it's by association.
It's a Catholic connection.
Oh, very well, very well.
It's like Moba and Gay, the Methodist connection,
something like that.
Yes.
Or Accra and who?
Accra and St. Mary's, but Accra we are non-denominational.
You are non-denominational. So how come
Catholic.
You would St. Mary's?
I don't know.
Like, why isn't it like Aquinas and St. Mary's?
So I don't know if I think the story goes that initially they used to have something. And then Accra jumped in. And we kicked. They jumped in blue. I mean, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so Accra Academy and St. Mary's, they have an association.
And Mr.
The Akasma Association. Did I tell you that I'm an Akasma?
You're a product of
an Akasma affiliation.
You did, and I'm actually a product of a Apsu Hopsa
and
association as
you
well.
Followed.
We have what we call Aman Adeshe. Aman Adeshe. Aman for an Adeshe.
Oh, I see. Aman for is the people.
Aman for
Adeshe is more like royals. Yes.
So it's a mixture of the common people and the royals. It's such a magnificent mix.
The proletariat and royalty.
I see.
So Yasantua.
Those are your
sisters,
your girls.
Yes, although we chase Munche happily.
That's it.
Amana this is the official, but we happily chase Munche and others.
Yeah, man.
Oh my word!
My Pempe boys acknowledge this. No proper Pempe man will run away from this.
But you're talking about Saint Thomas Aquinas. So over time, therefore, they developed the kind of connection with Accra girls.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's what they call stagger.
You would think Accra girls and Accra are cut.
Probably.
Aquinas and St. Mary's.
St. Mary's girls are the reason why Accra boys have been beating Presec boys. They've been beating them.
We've been telling Presec to stay away.
The Presec boys have been winning that race, even though they are not linked there.
No, they're winning for what?
Oh, they've been winning.
How?
But I thought they've been taking their girls.
I thought Presec and Ibri girls have
so they have.
Presec have never been interested in the mountain.
No. They like what is here.
I'm a small Gomi. I'm downstream.
So that's they want local content.
Yeah, downstream.
They like local content. They don't want to go up the mountain too far.
That's why I'm from Legon to
No. So they like. Yeah.
But
we won't do getting.
You thought your issue with Presec has something to do with academics.
No. Of course it's not.
It's simply because they were taking the Mary's girls from me.
They were taking the girls.
No, they were not.
He refuses to accept it, but that is what it is.
But it's not it. It can't be it.
Well, they could not take them.
They could not.
So where does the disco go?
Adisco has been coming to Kumasi.
No, Adisco. So Adisco sister school. Adisco sister school is Infantiman Santa Moga.
Mansite.
Yes, but no, Adisco they don't like that one.
Yeah, they tell you. They do the Santa. You see, they officially Santa.
Yeah, but they don't like that one.
But the Adisco boys have also been chasing Munche.
Yeah,
Adisco they all play all.
They left Cape Coast. They went all the way.
I said, ask Freeman.
He hold the
filler. Talk. Just ask Freeman.
He hold the filler.
Oh, that's what they said. I'll get them.
Anyway, a few more birthday messages. Happy birthday to Alexa Pia of Société Générale. So yes, happy birthday to Alexa Pia of Société Générale Bank from Victor. Whoever Victor is wishing Alexa Pia a happy birthday. Sorry?
Two parties follow one girl. Follow one girl. Follow one girl. Nadu dodges. Nadu dodges. Nadu dodges. This is high life of old, you know.
Okay, this one. still the Citi Breakfast Show. This message says we are Santa Neutral. Says we run the girls' schools all. Hey! Yeah. It's Santa Neutral. But you know, I always say that if I didn't go to Accra Academy, I bet I would have gone to a disco.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I would have gone to a disco.
I think you're too gentle for a disco.
No, I would have gone to a
disco.
disco.
Boy.
No, I would have gone to a disco.
You look like a disco boy.
Charlie, that rowdy spirits.
No, I would have gone there. One, because I two to upset my dad. Yeah, I am going to get my dad upset. Yeah, Charlie. But yeah.
It's what it is.
It's what it is.
It is what it is.
Charlie, look, to this morning, so many things. If you just go through the portals, you find several stories making the rounds. A lot of the portals talking about debt exchange. And I like the fact that groups are now speaking up. I like it. Initially when it started, people weren't too sure. I don't know whether it's the realization of what it means.
Yeah, I'm sure by now they would have internalized what exactly the problem.
But I like the fact that people are now vocalizing their thoughts and opinions. And they are ready not only to rant to themselves over the phone, on social or whatever, but they are ready to take it forward and go on the frontal, as it were. Because if you've seen the statements they've put out, the kind of artwork they've released, all the documents they are sharing, clearly they want to engage the system, which is good. Which is very, very good, because when all of this started, I guess maybe, for lack of a better word, government not giving clear info and people not understanding whatever it is, that was going on. And I like the fact that people are speaking. I like the fact that people are asking government questions. I hope government will come back and respond, because people need to be answered. People need to be answered, because people's monies are in the balance. People's monies are in the balance. We are talking monies across the spectrum, from somebody's hundreds to their small thousands, to the medium-sized thousands, and to the millions. People have worked hard. They've put money away to do whatever it is they want to do at this time or sometime in the future. And all of a sudden, because we have been ill-disciplined as a country, we have failed to act properly and to act in a manner that is responsible. We are here, and somebody's wealth, somebody's money they've stashed away is going to be wiped. For some people, everything is going. For others, half. For others, a third. Whatever it is, somebody's hard-earned CD is just going to disappear.
At least for some time.
At least for some time.
You talk about somebody's hard-earned CD. I went into a bank, and there was a woman who was basically in despair, right? Because this is a woman who sells fruit. For years, she had been putting away her meager earnings to educate her daughter, only to come in and to be told that it was basically going to be slashed. Money that she thought she was being a prudent investor. She was doing this for her daughter. She's a single mother. She sells fruit. She said, how much fruit am I going to sell and carry around to make that money again to pay for my daughter's education? Here is somebody who wants her daughter to have a better chance than she did, right? She goes out every day to hustle on these streets of Accra to sell fruit. And you're telling her that after being prudent, after being diligent, after sacrificing,
after trying to be a good parent,
after trying to be a good parent, to provide something good for her daughter so that her daughter won't have to struggle to get an education, she will struggle, put away that small money she has for years, and you tell her, I'm sorry, ma'am, you're going to lose a huge chunk of that money. She's like, how am I going to make that money back? How am I going to pay for my daughter to go to school now? This is just one example of the several who are now lamenting the situation and feel helpless and hopeless.
I when we're having this conversation at first, I think you were sky raised the point about, no, I think it was Nathan, people not perhaps understanding what was at stake.
Yes, how the far-reaching consequences.
But I think gradually
it's sinking in.
It's sinking in.
Yeah.
Because I'm just narrating a similar. I walked into my bank branch yesterday or so, and on my way out, there was a woman sitting in a chair, and she had her head in her hand, and she was on her phone. So I was going to use the ATM outside, and she was on her phone, and it wasn't like she was speaking undertone. She was very much frustrated, and she was telling somebody how in the local language, one of the local languages, that now her money has become basa because and she was sitting in a chair. And and there are a lot more stories like that now. A lot more people come, because now people are thinking about this and they're like, okay, what? They go there and they are given the information. And normally we have the Jaimaninka spirit. And normally Ghanaians would find ways to accommodate these things. And in fact, a lot of people are accommodating these things.
Some
in
are
spite
even
of all this.
Some are even going to redeem and just taking the loss.
Yes.
Shockingly, but they are. But because they probably just need the money. So they'll take the loss.
It's
but
just
it's not fair.
Yeah. And what for me is the bigger problem, and Sky raised this issue during the newspaper review, is the manner in which it has gone down. The language that has been used, the approach to it,
the posture,
the lack of engagement with people, the buy-in, and then the commensurate attitude on the side of the government to say that, okay, you are suffering, we are suffering with you. And that is where the pain for a lot of people is. Because yesterday, look, almost every radio station in this space that we occupy did a story on this. We have voices from several people. Look, the voices from the pensioners are the most, they are gut-wrenching. And a lot of radio stations played those kind of voices yesterday. And people are like, look, there was a man I heard, he said he's 66 years old. What exactly do they expect him to do? Nobody's telling him anything. And his point was, he is supposed to suffer. He sees that the lavish lifestyles, the people who are telling him to do these things are living. They don't seem to be taking any cuts. Well, in his opinion, anyway. But he's supposed to do that. What is he supposed to do? And it hasn't been explained to him properly. Okay, now, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, there's been an amendment, I think. Further amendments to the invitation to exchange. So now that has to be explained again. But they'll tell you, go to your bankers, your investors, they'll explain it to you and whatnot. But the thing is this, the spate of these changes. So 3 weeks ago is A. People don't even get to terms with that. Then B has come. Now B comes as a result of people not understanding A and people not buying into A because you did not consult people, which is where Sky's issue comes in. And I think it's the problem everybody has. And it's something that we've almost always asked. There is this assumption that Ghanaians now perhaps don't have brain power. And so we'll simply tell you what to do. I don't get that.
I think it's because we have proven to acquiesce quite easily.
Yeah.
Certain things.
But
it's like, they may talk for a few days, but
that you see, it's as if the posture now is the government is desperate, and in its desperation has ignored the fact that a lot of the decisions it's taking affects people. The government has, at the moment, is behaving like an entity that does not recognize that it governs people. At the moment, the government behaves as if it's engaging with numbers. So it sees $55 billion or something debt. If I calculate, if I do A, B, C, D, it gets me to 50% of this. So once I get 50% of this, I will be able to reach the numbers that I need to show. So the finance ministry and the government, basically at the moment, in front of them, they are dealing with numbers. But what they forget, and that is something I do not expect a government to be told, is that those numbers are human beings. Even if it's 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, those are human beings, especially in a country where, let's be honest with ourselves, we call ourselves middle income, whatever. A lot of people in this country are hand to mouth. Unless the government is denying this, all the mixed surveys indicate it. a large part of this populace live hand to mouth. A lot of people have taken chances on years of being convinced that this is the way to go. There's a woman I heard another voice. She lost her job. And she said, okay, I've lost my job. I know that it might take me a year or two. So everything that I earned, in order to be able to look after my family and pay my school fees, I'm investing it in these bonds. Now one, she's unemployed. Two, she now has no access to the money that she had put in there to be able to help her survive. These are human stories, which is why everybody was expecting that in order to make a decision as significant as this, no matter how desperate the situation is, and we are blaming you, the government, for this desperate situation we find ourselves in, you should have spoken to people, taking proper feedback. We want to do this. How best can we do this so that it doesn't worry you? Now, you are not recognizing the fact that your numbers are affecting people. You are not engaging properly on all these matters. And you've basically left a large section of the populace just frustrated. People who are already struggling because the past 2 years, Sky, Nathan, everybody who's listening, have been really hard for people. No matter, you cannot spin it in any other way apart from the fact that it's been really hard. So here we are living this hard life, trying to figure ourselves out. And then every single day, this government, its people who are supposed to help people, refuse to see people as people and just come out and say, okay, let's do this. In trying to deal with the economic situation, Sky, how many times have we not spoken about a lean government?
Many times. So many times.
One of the biggest things that we have spoken about is cut the government. Everybody knows how much money we will save from cutting the government. Every time it's an amendment on how other people can suffer. You don't want to cut the government. The government, we know they're not doing shelly. We know they're not doing anything. The ministries that have to... Alan Chamatin's ministry that he's resigned from, that has been given to Ken to add. He has 3 deputies. What are they doing? What do they do? Even the Chinese trade ministry doesn't have 3 deputies. And it is the hub of global manufacturing. They don't have 3. What do they do?
You mentioned Alan Chamatin. He even mentioned in this. Did he not say that he believes...
got another problem. Leave him.
You talk about it. Anyway, coming up next is tech and social media trends. Brought to us by
our friends at Vodafone. Now, the One Ghana Vodafone promo is here. With just 1 Ghana cedi, you can have 20 minutes of talk time to all other networks and 1 gigabyte of data every day between 5 a.m. and 11:59 a.m. Just dial *530# to subscribe and enjoy longer conversations and browsing. Vodafone, further together. And our friends at Cal Bank want you to know that you get free access to our short code service, *771#, CalNet, and the Cal Bank app when you reactivate your Cal Bank account between now and the end of the month. It's so easy. You can go to any Cal Bank branch with your Ghana card to complete an account reactivation form and get free access to our digital solutions. Cal Bank, forward together.
And Mr. Cranting is back in the building with tech and social media trends.
Nathan.
Yes, sir.
Things are happening in this country.
What's the latest?
Since Godfred ended with Alan K, Alan Cash, I'll start with Alan K, Alan Cash. GTP is trending.
GTP?
Yeah.
I see.
The Great Transformation Project. Alan K's plan to restore Ghana to greatness. Yeah, making Ghana great again.
I see.
The people are saying that. So if Alan K had a solution, why didn't he share it with Nanado?
Hey!
Because Nanado is your guy.
This matter.
So if you had a solution, why didn't you share it with Nanado? If wait now you say you won't do this thing again, minister again. You are telling us you have great transformation plan.
Well, I mean, on that note, it's also important to look at the other side of it. Nanado is the president of the republic. He's serving, because he's been elected president. The ministers who are there, they are there at the pleasure of the president. They are basically appendages of the president. And while you may make suggestions during cabinet and all of that,
That's the final say.
yeah, he has the finals. He can say, Charlie, look, my decision is what.
So you are saying it's possible?
No, it is possible. I'm not suggesting that's what exactly happened, but I'm saying that it may well be that in all the circumstances of this matter, he may have said a few things which may not have been taken on board entirely.
It is possible.
It is possible. Yeah, there are possibilities.
Let's move on. 1% e-levy. Nathan, that one is trending.
1% e-levy.
Yeah. They did the kick-off pay yesterday. And now across board, if you are sending 5 CD, it will catch you. Oh, yes. They say, and you see, I don't know if you got a message from your telco, but yesterday they sent me some message. They say, hooray. E-levy has been cut down from 1.5
to 1%.
I say, hey, these people, you know that there are some things inside. You don't want to tell me. They didn't add the across board. They didn't add that one. I think they are smart.
But I thought they said the threshold was still there.
Yeah, that's right. That's to
the 100
protect.
CD threshold.
Yeah, if they had removed it, the protection for the poorer, what do you call it?
Like serious, yeah.
Would have been seriously impacted. So you put it there as to protect the poorest of the poor.
So hooray.
I see.
Nathan. They said over 60 coaches have applied to become the next Black Stars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Over 60 coaches.
Over 60 coaches.
But non-Ghanaian, from what we
They said there are more Europeans and then the rest are South
Americans.
Okay.
What,
are not interested.
We don't have internet to apply online. What's going on?
It's like
many of you. I'll tell it, but I don't understand why even said they don't need job or what?
Oh no, they need a job.
So why?
I heard that they were one of them. He was trying to apply.
And then
when
what?
he clicked confirm, then the top there was E. It went from LTE to E. So the thing is doing round.
And his application couldn't go through.
Charlie.
I think I would call on the GFA to make an exception and allow for Ghanaian coaches who believe that they have what it takes to run the Black Stars to apply. And this is a special dispensation that they are giving strictly to only Ghanaian coaches who think that they can do
I
that.
think applications are still open, so they should apply.
They are still open. They've not closed yet.
No.
Oh, very well. I think they have to. I think the former coach, Apia, says that he's still very much interested.
Oh, yeah.
So
Mayele.
Oh, yes. Champion. Nathan, I want to quote the Bible for my next this one. Genesis 22. From verse 9 to 14. Simply saying, I'll make a way for you where there seems to be no way.
Thank you.
Oh, yesterday, Southampton were facing Manchester City. Totally. We thought, it will be a cool one for Man City, and they'll come and trouble us in the semi-final. But the Lord that we serve,
it's a good
God. Lord we serve,
it's a good God.
It's a miracle working God.
Thank you.
He has opened the path for us. Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, Southampton. Cool job. Now we can see the trophy. We can see it. We are looking at the trophy. God has eliminated all our enemies from the first round.
He kept eliminating
out
Chelsea, Liverpool, those teams.
But he has cleared all of them for us.
I want to tell Danny K that Southampton, Newcastle, and Nottingham Forest also saying the same prayer.
No problem. That's okay.
At their level.
Now, second social media trends brought to us by Cowbank and Vodafone.
of the purposelessness, and because of the planlessness that greeted the oil sector, a vast majority of Nigerians still continue to vacillate between exorbitant enthusiasm and irrational irritability, while a microscopic few that have piloted the affairs of this nation live in Byzantine luxury and proprietary solicitude. Mr. Speaker, today I am happy I'm a Nigerian. Today I am happy I'm a member of the House of Representatives because, like I've always said, and this motion has demonstrated for the opting time, that Parliament must be an instrument and vehicle of social engineering. Parliament must remain the contact forums of the people having superintendence over umbrages, contract bonus more. Mr. Speaker, I am in perfect simulacrum with the prayers of this motion, and this is my humble logomaki, and the logomaki I made without logo passion.
After 8 years, Nkabinanga wahala. Kabinanga wahala, Kabinanga wahala, Kabinanga wahala, school fees wahala, electricity bill wahala, hospital bill.
Wonder why waka, so I won't force a call. We'll be out of the state, my favorite thing. It's not a problem, wonder why waka, so I won't force a call. Wonder why waka, so I won't force a call. Wonder why waka, so I won't force a call. We'll be out of the state, my favorite thing.
8:13. This is still the Citi Breakfast Show. Now, Enterprise Motor Insurance is saying that this year's promo there different. Will simply buy or renew your motor insurance with Enterprise and win great prizes, fuel coupons, branded gift items, and qualify for the monthly raffle draws with amazing rewards. Just get in touch with your insurance broker, agent, or visit any Enterprise branch for your motor insurance and get free fuel coupons and be the possible winner of these amazing rewards in our monthly raffle draws between January and June. Promo is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform. T's and C's apply. Enterprise, your advantage. All right, let's hear from very, very interested parties in this domestic exchange program. Let's hear from Convener for Pensioners, Dr. Edu Entry. Convener for Pensioners holding government bonds. Now, if you've been following the conversations, changes have been happening the last 3 to 4 weeks concerning who is exempted, who's not. Now, pensioners who are holding government bonds say they are open for negotiations with the government over their stance to exempt their bonds from the domestic exchange program. Now, Dr. Edu Entry, who's the convener for pensioners, says it's only necessary for the government to listen to what the pensioners have got to say.
We say that no, don't do this to your pensioners. If the young people can, and I finance will tell you that if you do a bad investment and you are young and you fail, you can recover. You can recover after all the damage. But if you are that old and you face any financial damage, you can't recover. That takes you to the end of your life. There's no opportunity for you to recover again.
So the money, so in your case, and I'm referring to you using the whole group, the pensions that you received after 60, you went to invest. Them.
Yes, with the hard earned savings. You see, we all, and I why I get so much worried that I particularly, when I was the Director General of Securities and Exchange Commission, one of the key things we were doing was investor education, educating people that they should invest. They should invest for their future, so that when they come on retirement, they will not be a burden to the society or to their friends, family, and whatever. And if you are that old, the best investment you should be making is a Ghana government bonds, which is risk-free, that anytime you want your money, you will get. You have done all this education. People have taken the education seriously, and now many people, while they were working, were saving. You save. At the end of the day, you add your savings to your pensions that you receive, and you are going to have invested it in a very safe place. And now this is coming to hit you, that your investment now is going to go this way. And the first year, you are not going to get anything. on no interest on your investment for the first year. So how would the pensioner who is only using this to buy his medication, people, dialysis, and I tell people, as you are growing, you get an import license that you don't like, but God gives you an import license. This import license is to import only sickness to you. That's God's way of taking you out of the world. Today, here is broken. The next day you feel this. The next day you feel that. All sicknesses are coming. Your only source of caring for you for all this is through your investment you have made. So if somebody takes that from you, that is a difficulty and a challenge. And if you don't take care, you won't live for even a year for you to die.
The organized labor was able to take on government because they had government in their hands. So they could threaten a strike and government would have to do a U-turn. You have nothing on government. You can't threaten government with anything. How do you hope to be listened to?
Well, I said at the press conference that it's unfortunate. When we were strong, we had somebody to protect us. Now that we are weak, we don't have anybody to protect us, which means when we were working as strong men, the unions and the trade unions were there to protect us. Now that we are old, we don't have any protection. So we must all come together and see that we are protected. If you will you do something that will kill the elderly in the society, I don't think anybody will be happy doing something that would wipe out majority of the elderly. There's a saying in Akan, that is why we keep old people there, so that if there's any matter, we consult them. So I don't think government, I always think that maybe it was an oversight. Nobody thought into it that if we are exempting pensions funds, then the people who have already also taken the same amount that you don't want to impair, and it is in their hands, and they have invested it in your own security, then exempt them also. Maybe that didn't come. So once you have raised it, I'm thinking that people say, okay, we missed the point there. We cannot exempt pension funds. The funds that workers will go on retirement, we don't want to impair it. But the one we have already given out and they are also investing, that one we are going to impair it. It's not right. So maybe let's look at it again.
All right, that was Dr. Edu Entry, convener for pensioners holding government bonds, saying that, look, there needs to be a conversation between themselves and the government over what can be done in relation to the domestic debt exchange program. We do know that some groups are speaking now. They're a bit more vocal. In the last few days, we've been hearing from Senyor Hosi. He has been speaking. He is the convener for the Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum. And he says, look, government has not acted well. Government has been ill-disciplined in terms of managing the economy and all of that. And, they believe that government's not handling all of this well. So Senor Hosi was speaking to us yesterday. He was on Citi FM and he was sharing his thoughts on Eyewitness News.
Whoever believed that the MPP government that went Kumi Preku would today be running
to increase
VAT where it is today, collectively with Get Fund here, with NHIL here, then COVID here, put all together and see.
Yeah.
What did we go or did we come? All these things are taken away from your accessible and disposable income.
They campaign
so practically, taxation to production. They've produced nothing. Now you sit here, the question here.
No, they produce a few things.
What do you mean by production? You look at the net value of what you are looking at. In economics, you think at the mean. What is the net value of it? If we were doing that, we will be here. If we have meaningfully moved relative to where we are supposed to go, we will be here. But you see, put that aside. You were borrowing and borrowing. The opposition complained. You told us that you knew what you were doing. We trusted you. We trusted you.
Gave you the free will.
We gave you the free will and we kept investing. Because you knew what you were doing. Because you were also creating a mechanism to empower your own people. Because that's what we thought.
You knew how to bring economies back to life.
Exactly. And now here we are. Do anything you want to do. But don't come and jeopardize the livelihoods of people. People are at a loss how they are actually going to fund their school fees. People are at a loss how they're going to pay their bank loans. Because many people have borrowed against this. Do anything you want to do, but don't come and jeopardize the livelihoods of people. People are at a loss how they are actually going to fund their school fees. People are at a loss how they are going to pay their bank loans. Because many people have borrowed against this. And you want to do this and not welcome anybody at the table or create a platform for us to be at the table. And let's discuss and find a sustainable middle ground. And what's painful and most responsible of it all is government's own lifestyle. Does our government look like a government that's broke? Look at the size of government we have. We have moved state-owned enterprises from 86 to 177. We have ballooned salaries in the public sector by 308%. That just look like a government that is broke. And you are not seeing anything. And to put a cherry on the annoyance of the whole program, you say we are still building a cathedral. And responsible pastors follow that. God forgive every one of you. Read your Bible well and see where your God is. It tells you we are very lost on our priorities. Solving our current problem is possible, but it needs a judge. More importantly, it needs proper sacrifice from the people who have caused it. In Ghana, our politicians continue to mess us up. They abuse our economic rights and always make us pay for it. We run down toll, and then we come and say toll levy. We run down the energy sector, then we come and say energy sector levy. We keep running down everything. And who is running it down? Is it us, the individuals, or the people we have empowered to be able to manage our affairs for us? This time, we are saying no to this matter. It's over. We can't be at the wrong side of the bargain forever. We are not your whipping cat. It is not going to continue. You are the one who caused it. You must take responsibility and show the way and be humble about it. Sit down and let's talk. If not, sorry, we ain't doing it.
So that was Senor Hosi, convener of the Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum.
I think that last week we were saying, or was it last month? I'm not sure. Yeah. We were saying that more voices needed to come out strongly, and we are hearing Edouard Nanyentwi, by the way, used to be the SEC Director General.
Really?
Oh, yes, Dr. Edouard Nanyentwi is a very known person in the financial sector. I see. So the press conference he addressed was on behalf of 200 individual bondholders. Now we need to differentiate between that. These are pensioners who hold bonds.
Yes. Okay.
As against the pensions industry that has also asked to be exempted from the domestic debt exchange program.
That the ministry has responded to.
By saying that they are still indeed, Koku, you were holding a document.
Yeah, let me read that.
Yes. So I'm not sure they've definitely said yes or no.
So essentially, you're saying that Dr. Nanyentwi, he's representing individuals who hold bonds.
I'm guessing so, because they said there were 200 pensioners who hold government bonds. So Senyor's group is a larger group of individual bondholders, and Edouard Nanyentwi was speaking for 200 pensioners who hold government bonds.
So but they are registered under the
CSD. So you could say that the group that Mr. Hosi represents could be the larger group of all individual bondholders. Okay. But then to just clarify, the pension funds, which by law were mandated to also buy government bonds,
it's about 70%,
have asked to be exempt. And from the amendment and invitation to exchange, the FAQs that yesterday was sent out, the government is saying that negotiations on the specific terms of an agreement to the pension funds are continuing and will be made public once an agreement on the details is reached. I need to make a few clarifications. So remember when we were discussing this and we said we're told that individual bondholders were exempt. And then we said there are lots of individuals like myself and Koku and Richard Sky and Co. who are part of collective investment schemes and mutual funds. So maybe the M fund or whichever fund that EDC or Koku could have 700,000 people. Now, my appeal at the time was that we should be treated as individual bondholders too, because our monies are so small that they can only make an impact in an interest sense if they are brought together.
Yes.
Good. So the group that Senor represents is now saying they're representing not just individual bondholders registered at the CSD, but people like us who have bought mutual funds and are part of collective investment schemes. And in fact, they are saying that those people should tell their fund managers not to agree to the debt exchange program. So we've seen some response. The only thing I see is that, as Sandra was suggesting, it looks like groups that have a stranglehold on government will get their way. So, for example, UTAG and the worker groups can say to government, don't don't touch our monies in the debt exchange program. And the government will say yes, but smaller groups and individuals that are not working together in concert may not have such a say. So, for example, 200 pensioners holding government bonds is very small, all right? Which is why I feel it's important for the various groups to come together, because some of the points they are raising with government could even be contradictory, right?
I see.
So it looks like the whole debt exchange has become an iterative process. And you could say that could be good in the sense that initially they came up with only 4 types of bonds to replace all the bonds. Now they've increased it to 12. They've also made a few minor changes. In fact, they sent out a release, which I didn't know if you guys read, which explained some of the different things they were going to do. I don't know whether that's enough. What tends to happen is that in Ghana, because everybody is trying to fight for their own corner, it doesn't really, I feel, for example, organized labor should come together, meet with the pension funds. All right. The bondholders that Senyo has brought together as well, to then come and discuss collectively how they feel the debt exchange should be changed. But if everybody is fighting from their own corner, government can give a little here, give a little there, and at the end we all suffer. That's what is happening. So they'll say, okay, insurance, you said you wanted to be exempt. We can't exempt you because insurance is very critical, but we'll do 1 or 2 things for you. Then some investment bank said, oh, the terms of the 4 bonds you are giving, they are not nice because the yield curve is too flat. Then they'll say, okay, we will increase it from 4 to 12. So we'll give you something small there. Okay. Then the pensioners will say something. Then you give them something small there. At the end of the day, the overall effect of the debt exchange is that all of us are impoverished and our money has been impaired. So I think there should probably be a big conference on the debt exchange or some forum where we can speak and sing from the same hymn sheet. The way we are doing this is it's almost like you have 5 kids in the house and your father wants to cut down meals in a day, or he wants to slash the budget drastically. And then everybody's fighting for different interests because she wants a new bicycle. So the man will say, I'll give you the bike, but we'll reduce the meals from 2 to 2 times a day. Kojo wants to eat a lot of food, but he doesn't like a bike. So the man will use he will play the groups against each other. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we are all collectively worse. So I feel the kind of group that Mr. Jose has put together is a very important group. A lot of people should join, and then they should come up with concrete proposals. And Mr. Jose's group made about 3 concrete proposals. They said, if you're an individual bondholder, reject it. If you are part of a collective investment scheme or mutual fund, tell your fund manager that no. And then government should come back to the drawing board and meet all of us. I think that's very wonderful. All right. So Mr. Nanienchi and all those guys should come together with these guys to make more concrete demands, because from the way I see it, the details of the new proposals are not even easy to explain to educated people. I mean, if you like, where's the document? Let me read and ask if anybody here understands those things.
I've read this.
So I don't think this is going well. I like the fact that people are coming out to make noise, but I'm not sure we will achieve anything or they will achieve anything if they keep working in this disconcerted fashion. So maybe we can come back to that later on.
We'll get back to it in a brief moment. But coming up next is Your Money. Of course, what we are discussing is Your Money. Your Money is brought to you by CVG. CVG, we stand with you.
So the era of cheap money is over. The era of passive income is over. And it will be over for at least 5 years. Probably 2 years. So talk to people who understand the real sector about what you can do with your money. Whether it's to get an Uber, buy a land in Dodowa, pay somebody's school fees. But the era of passive income, where you just go and put money somewhere and go and sleep and your money will work for you, is well and truly over for a while. So start thinking of, in fact, what I'm saying to you is the last topic on the Effective Living series. The last topic we'll discuss on the last Thursday, it was this topic. So what I'm saying is very serious. The era of cheap money is over. So where they say, let your money work for you, go and put your money In Ghana, it will not work for you again. Go and look for a land to buy. Go and start a business. Go and invest in some other business. But just going to put your money somewhere, they'll go and buy government bond. Money, no, that's in the NJA. For now. At least, I don't know, for at least 3 to 4 years.
So that was your money, brought to you by CBG. CBG, we stand with you.
A bank that supports you. A bank that cares for you. Hand in hand, we stand with you. So lift your head up, big dreams are waiting. We'll walk with you wherever you go. Where all your dreams come alive, CBG will make you smile. No matter we will rise with you. Your business will flourish, your name will stand out. Consolidated by CBG.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
This is still the Citi Breakfast Show. Your comments are coming through on 0549 986 996. Try and go through them before the show ends. But yes, let's go through some of the things that have been put out, amended in the last 24 hours or so. In the last few hours, government has put out some communication, just explaining a few changes in terms of who is in and who's not in, or who's taking part in the domestic debt exchange program. Bernard, maybe you can help us.
So, what I was saying, because everybody is acting in their own self-interest, which is not necessarily wrong, the government is giving everybody peace. And I think my assessment of the situation is that we'll all be worse off even with these amended terms if there isn't a more broad-based forum of engagement. Why do I say this? Initially, when the bond debt exchange program was announced, individual bondholders were not part. And we're like, based on our calculation, individual bondholders are more wealthy. So the government is trying to protect rich people. Of course, that necessarily wasn't true because the way Ghana's system works, yes, a lot of individual bondholders are wealthy, but there are also some very poor people who are individual bondholders. So the government says, okay, we are now inviting individual bondholders to join. All right. Now, that announcement is what has led Mr. Edouard and Entry and Senyo and Co to also rise up and say, no, we won't agree.
Yes, we won't agree.
So I don't think civil society, media, and all the interested groups have considered all things and have come up with a net overall effect. So the government says, okay, I'll include individual bondholders, but we'll include individual bondholders because initially we only give 4 bonds that we'll give you, but now we've increased them to 12, and those 12 are so nuanced that everybody will benefit. I don't know if anybody has done the numbers to say whether that makes us worse off or better off. So that's the first problem. So now they are saying old bonds usually have a much more limited liquidity and lower market value after an exchange program than the new bonds. This is why the government wants to offer individual investors the opportunity to participate. In addition, the economic terms of the amended invitation of the exchange are improved. We don't know what that means in actual detail. That's just nice English. Then they also said, accrued interest will be paid in a capitalized form. So the government says they've decided to proceed with paying interest accrued up to 24th January 2023 to all eligible holders. Initially they were saying that only people who held bonds up to December last year would be paid. But now they've said that up to 24th January, you will be paid. So that's a sort of small improvement.
So does it mean that, for example, this interest that will be paid is interest from, say, the bond that I held in previous years? So interest that was due me?
Yes, but now the expiry date is 24th January and not December last year, which was the initial announcement. Then they also said, as part of the changes, participating holders of the 2023 bonds will receive a 2% cash fee. Okay, for what that's worth. I'm sure the larger your portfolio, the better for you. Those who have too much money. But I think the main change is that the 4 bonds that were announced, that 2027, 2029, 2032, that thing, they say it's now 12
bonds.
Okay, so
the 17 previous bonds were collapsed into 4.
Now they've
been expanded to 12.
Brilliant. Now it says there are 12 new bonds in the amended exchange instead of 4, with a new coupon rate and structure. Coupon rate interest payment. Investors indicated a preference for having more numerous bonds with standard bullet bonds instead of fewer, larger, and more liquid bonds. Now, we have to explain this. The previous structure had fewer bonds, just 4. According to the government, that was more liquid. I'm not sure I can agree with that. But they were saying they will pay 5% for the first batch, 10% into 2039 or something. Now, according to government, that was more liquid than this 12. Okay? Now, I wanted to go into the structure of the 12. I don't think we have time. So now they've broken the new bonds into 2027, 2028. So, let me make it easy. If you held a Government of Ghana bond, which was maturing up until January 24th, 2023, now your first payment will be in 2027. So that's how many years? 4 years away from today.
At which interest rate? I think
good question.
Which is to push it forward instead of,
So the maturity date for the earliest people to receive their money will be 24th January 2027.
Charlie.
Okay.
2027.
Yes. The interest structure is that up until, if you want to take the money in 2024, still no interest will be paid. But if you take your money from 24th January 2024 to 23rd January 2025, you get 5% interest. No matter what interest the government had given you when you bought that.
The new interest is 5%.
Good. Then, if your maturity is between 2025 to the maturity of 2027, you get 9%. Okay, so that's for the 2027 bonds. Okay. Now, when you put all the bonds together, the 2027 bonds are 15% of the bonds. Remember, initially it was 17 something. Now it's 15%. Okay. Now the next group of bonds is 2028 with a similar structure, just that when your maturity is in the last group is 9.5%. So basically, they are now fleshing out the yield curve. Initially, I just said 0, 5, 10, 10. Now they are saying 9, 9.15, 9.30, 9.45. So you get some money in 2028, 2029, 2030, 2031. And these are, we are in 2023. So
2027 is 4 years.
The last batch of debts, bonds will be paid in 2038.
By which time?
Okay. Now 2038.
Which is 15 years from now.
Good. So how old are you now? You are 40.
Old enough.
Old enough.
So by the time you are like 55.
You'll be 55. How old is your daughter? I think it's 12 or 11 or something. Is it 11? I'm sorry, I'm asking, I'm putting you on the spot. So she'll probably be getting ready to get married. Because she's 11 now, or 12ish. If you add 15 to her age.
26.
So she'll probably finish MIT. And she's finished HSC or Legon or something, engineering. And she's probably an architect. And she's going to get married. And you are You are a fucking old man.
You know?
You are old man. You are no. I use that in the gun. No, that.
I get it.
No, just bluff. No,
I get what you
so you are 20.
We didn't mean to offend people's sensitivity. That's how people, they get it.
I'm in the Samen's expression. Yeah. You say I don't want to grow up to become a fucking old man.
It's not something. Yeah.
So Sky, you are 55.
You come, Charlie.
So the last batch of your money, you know. So let's hope your daughter has finished the university and she's done her national service, she's done her law, and she's now going to do her whatever. When you are going to give her hand in marriage, you know, that's when the last batch will be paid. And the interest will be 10%. 10% of the money.
But
meanwhile, all this gratia will be paid when they finish the fund.
But Bernard, I have a question to ask.
So what I'm saying is that now the thing has been broken down into less liquid but more varied bonds. The reason I'm not sure what to make of this is that I have not done the numbers. Those who were proposing for change in the terms should come and tell us whether this 12 is better than the 4. Because at least the 4 we could track. I feel they're saying in the 4, it was too rigid and there were too many gaps. But at least this one, every year there's something. Do you get it? So in the first one, you get something in 2027, then you don't get something until 2029, then 2032. But this one, they are giving you something every year, something small every year. Okay, so for those of you who need your money something small, it's better. But those of you who need your money in bulk, it'll not be good. Yeah. Now, so that's the major change we are seeing here.
I have a question though. If you go further down, I see a graph, a series of bar charts.
I'm trying to open it again. Yeah.
That reflect or that talk about interest versus principal. So I just want to ask, so in all of this, do principals get affected at any point? I'm just asking for the common man out there who has this on their mind.
You are looking at the implied debt service schedule for an indicative 1,000 cedi exchange. Okay. So the principal payment is flat. It's flat. And then the interest payments reduce as we go closer to the end of the exchange program for eligible 2023 bonds. But for post-2023 bonds as well, the principal payment reduces by only marginally and the interest rate also comes down. I think we need to call Sam Akest again to explain what the intention is with these new bonds. You know, this statement came out yesterday and I haven't reflected fully on it, so I don't want to make any wrong judgment. But what I can say, two things I can say is, number one, this has more variety, so you will get more frequent payments than the initial one. But the government says this one is less liquid. And I'm not sure I understand what they mean by that. So I stand to be corrected. I need to explain. The only thing I'll say though is that whether it's the 12 or the 4, one of the things we have not considered is that the whole debt exchange program is going to lead to lower than anticipated economic growth. We are going to enter a period of economic decline because of the debt exchange program. Because a lot of people's disposable incomes are going to be taken away from them. It means that consumption spending is going to go down. It means that a lot of companies will not get the revenue they need. It means that the taxes they pay will be lower. It means that government revenue targets will be lower.
Yes.
So, inevitably, what Godfred and Sky were asking government to do, cutting expenditure,
they'll be
forced to still do it, because the debt exchange program, from all analysis we've seen, is going to lead to suppressed economic activity. Because most people, for example, you gave an example of a lady you met. Her school fees, or the example you gave yesterday, if you pay the school fees that TIS and SOS and Co pay, maybe you have some big money. You want to put it in an institution, and the interest that accrues what you used to pay those fees. So so long as this debt exchange program has been implemented, you can't pay those fees anymore. It means the school will not get access to the school fees. The school's revenue will go down. So you can use that to say there's going to be a reduction in economic activity. So the economy is going to suffer. Now you already have inflation that is expected to peak at the end of the first quarter of next year. So you're going to have of this year. So you have a rising inflation, you have lower growth. All right. So the government revenue target is going to be much lower. So it will still be forced to cut down expenditure. Do you follow what I'm saying? Then, as I said, the era of cheap money, a lot of industries are going to be decimated. Now, when I say the era of cheap money is over, it's not just a Ghana phenomenon, it's a global phenomenon. In the US, the US stock market performed its worst since 2008. I'm looking at the Ghana Stock Exchange as well. Our stock exchange is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Look at GSE highlights for the year. The all-share composite index, year-to-date change is negative 13%. The financial stock index, negative almost 5%. Market capitalization grew by 0.02% compared to last year. So domestic capitalization reduced by 10%. The stock exchange, which is one place where people get money. So usually when you want to invest money, you go stocks or bonds. Stock exchange is down.
Yeah.
All right. Bonds. Globally, even though bond market didn't do well, because of some of the challenges developing countries are facing, bonds are offering higher yields. So foreign, in advanced countries, they can take refuge in bonds, but not in Ghana. Because of the damage the debt exchange program is going to do to government as a borrower, the bond market is also a no-no. So wealthy people initially would have put their money in a stock. Stock market is not performing. They would have gone to buy government bond. They will not buy. Crypto, which we made a lot of noise about. Globally, crypto markets fell by over 70%. There's this scandal on some major crypto guy. So crypto is even struggling. US housing market, it declined. All right. They use this metric of new houses. It fell from 1 million to 600,000. If you come to Ghana, if you take the Bank of Ghana, the latest Bank of Ghana report, third quarter of 2022, there's a certain proxy you can use to look at the Ghana housing market, cement sales. So there are about 4 charts they use, okay, in sort of analyzing, and Nathan, give me 2 seconds, in analyzing the growth of certain sectors. Cement sales came down, right? By a
cement sales.
I want to go to the document for you. Just give me 2 seconds. There's a document I have. So the Bank of Ghana's own report, give me a minute. It's called It's called the Monetary Policy Report for November. The Monetary Policy Report for November gives you about 6 metrics of economic activity. That tells you whether the economy is going forward or going backwards. All right. Now, let me mention those, and then I'll tell you where they are headed. And I just use that to tell you that stocks are down, bonds are down, housing is also down. So I'm trying to say that the economy is going to really struggle. Just give me 2 seconds. Where are these indicators? So, yes. Cement sales peaked in November 2021, since September 2020. And they've come down significantly from about 400,000 tons to 250,000 tons. Cement sales. Now, we drive around and say people are building, but that's anecdotal. If you want to know whether the housing market is going up or not, cement sales have come down from 400,000 tons to 250,000 tons. So even though people are building houses at Chadu, the rate at which they are building is lower. Okay. Port activity. September 20, in fact, the peak over the 2-year period was in May 2021. 75,000 container traffic. It has come down to 52,000. September 2022. So again, from a peak of 75,000. So container activity talks about imports.
Yes.
It's come down. What else has come down? Retail sales has come down drastically. All right. VAT collection has come down. The only thing in the period that has gone up is tourist arrivals. Tourist arrivals went up. I'm using Bank of Ghana data. All right. Now, what am I trying to say here? Job adverts even came down. There's something they call job adverts. All right. Although something they call domestic money banks credit to private sector went up. The major indicators of economic activity are all pointing southwards. Okay. So your stock market is not working. Your bond market is being damaged. Your housing market and your housing sector is not responding. Crypto globally is coming down. So we've said Ghana has a low savings mobilization rate. People are poor because we don't invest a lot. It's going to get worse unless we find alternative ways of investing our money, whether buying land, whether starting an Uber business or starting a restaurant or chop bar. The good news is that when you look at the tourist arrivals, it tells you that Ghana's hope is actually in services. So like you have events, these things that they did, Afrochella and all these things. Because there are two ways of getting foreign currency. You can get foreign currency by manufacturing phones, manufacturing shoes, and exporting them and getting or selling cocoa and gold raw, or having visitors come to your country and spending foreign currency here. So if you look at Ghana's economy, the light at the end of the tunnel could be tourist arrivals and the event economy. Because there's no way you're going to manufacture shoes better than the Chinese. You're not going to manufacture cars better than the Germans. Even food. The Vietnamese and the Taiwanese can do the rice better than you. You get me? The only thing they can do is that they cannot replicate the experience you have in people coming here to come and see what you do. Which is why, if you look at the way we treat our tourism sector, it even tells us that we don't even
understand our way out of this.
You get me? So when you listen to what the people are saying, oh, we are going to do value added, competitive issues globally, tourism may be our best bet. So people are putting up Airbnbs. Today I was driving to work, I saw somebody saying they can rent an apartment for $455 a week. Maybe that's where the money will come from. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that we are going to be entering very difficult economic times as a country. A lot of what the government is doing is that it is kicking the can down the hill. Basically because whoever wins the 2024 election is going to be in a lot of trouble. Because a lot of our debts are due in 2025, the first quarter. And you are going to put all these payments. So it's basically saying, we can't pay the money now. Whoever wins the election 2024 should go and think of what to do. Okay? And as I've said, all your revenues will come down because the debt exchange is going to suppress your growth. And your inflation is going to go up as well. Okay? So I think the point people are making about now, cutting down some of the profligacy, we need more detailed cuts now. Okay? Like the kind of things we're saying about the cathedral, the kind of things we're saying about their like minister sizes, the coupons, travel. Those are the things that you need to do because, so it's not even future, it's now. If you don't do it now, you get me? Because what they are doing is basically saying, we will free up the space now to let the numbers look better. Then when we hand over, then whoever wins can think of what to do. And I don't think that's right. Which is why I feel this requires a national conversation. This is not just an MPP problem.
Bernard.
Otherwise, they will kick this can down your throat. And in the next 6 years, you're going to be in a lot of pain.
Bernard.
You know?
There is no doubt in my mind that this government has become stoic. Like it is not feeling anything. Like it is like it's just sitting there and things are happening around it.
Let me ask something. So fuel sales also came down. So I was telling cement sales, fuel sales in all, when you check the MPA's figures as well, fuel sales also came down. So everything is pointing down.
Yeah, that's right.
We only hope though, because this data I gave you is up to September 2022. We are hoping that the Christmas would have changed the trend. But if you look at the inflation trend and the interest rate trend, all things have actually continued in their negative fashion into 2023.
Bernard, what more evidence do you need that things are so bad? What more evidence is there to point to the fact that things are so bad?
Oh, sorry, and vehicle registration also came down. Sorry, vehicle registration also came down. I'm getting more feel, I'm sorry. Vehicle registration also came down. I'm trying to tell you that, and business confidence also came down. Consumer confidence also came down. And what else came down? Yeah, everything came down. So only the people coming to Ghana have increased.
You see, Bernard, when you look at it, on all fronts, we are in a mess. Like, people are struggling. Go to the streets of, Makola. You feel the hardship there because people no longer use disposable income to hand out to people, as Bernard was saying. Yeah. There's no free cash. So the person who will give some, maybe workers have come to work for him. Instead of paying 100 Ghana cedis, he say, oh, you have come to do so well for me. Take 200 Ghana, which is felt in the streets. The people are not feeling it. And my concern is, If as a government you came to power with the promise that, look, yetisikasu and akomodie, we will come and make you better off. My position is, when people find themselves in this mess as a result of government action or inaction, as the case may be, you should see a responsible government responding to their plight. And it should be on a daily basis. This is what we are doing. When COVID came, and because all the headlines, into the BBC, CNN, they were quoting Ghana, Ghana's president has said this, the information minister has said this. For the optics, they were out there every single day, giving us updates on what they were doing. Of course, the goodwill came, the money came. As we speak, we have not been able to account properly as to how we expended the money. Parliament is still fighting to get an update on how we expended those resources. Here we are. People lost money under DKM. People lost money in the banking sector reforms, which was men's gold, which was through no fault of many.
Some of which was through the fault of.
No, I understand. Men's gold was
through their fault.
Yeah, the men's gold one was through their own
fault. One is
fault.
the one that's through no fault of theirs.
And then
this one is the West.
You see, so people lost money. I mean, because we had been encouraging people to take their money to the bank.
Yeah.
And that's what Bawiredu or Safo Mafo of old were doing.
Edwan Anyenchi was saying when Asante was that he spent his whole life telling people to send money and save in this traditional. So it's damaged a whole generation of investment. So Sky, for me, two things. So not to cut you see what you're saying is that the government's approach should be different. And I'm also saying that the citizens should also work together more effectively, because the government can argue that I'm responding to you because the debt exchange has gone to about 3 iterations.
They are not.
Yeah, they've done a few things.
It's not about just going to sit in some small room, do your own numbers, and throw it out at the people.
You're not getting me. I'm saying that. You see, the way the thing works is that the government put out their intention. Different groups came out and said they oppose it. The ones who can shout the loudest, who can hold government where it hurts the most, got some exemptions.
Bernard.
The rest of us who don't have a voice didn't get an exemption.
Bernard.
I'm coming. I'm saying that the government can play different groups against each other to get its way. Because there's a lot of public discussions around it. We hosted a TV show for 4 hours where we discussed the debt exchange in great detail. There have been things published about the debt exchange in the newspapers which have shown that there are so many things that need to be done. What I'm saying is that we should push for a national conversation or some conference.
Bernard, we said this thing like 4 weeks ago.
Because I'm saying that from everything we've said, that's probably the most sensible thing to push for.
Bernard,
because the government is not going to stop the debt exchange. That one is not. They will not stop it unless the debt exchange fails so miserably. Then the IMF program will not go through. So I am saying that what can happen realistically is for a concerted conversation around the major bullet points on the debt exchange.
You see, Bernard, that is where government attitude comes in. Look, you and I were on this show when, under the Mahama administration, things got so bad, and the choice was, look, where do we turn to? Let's turn to the Bretton Woods institutions. On this particular show, we hit. What did the government do? They announced that they were holding a Century Forum, right?
Yeah. And they went to IMF.
Exactly. That was to take on board.
Validate.
Exactly.
That was very good, actually.
What is this government doing?
They've been intransigent. And in fact, the article in the graphic business yesterday that asked whether Nigeria was going to go Kenya or Ghana is very clear. So Kenyan presidential candidate promised a lot of things. Immediately he won the election, realized that he had to cut down government, he had to stop a lot of vanity projects, and he had to go to the IMF. We did the exact opposite. We said we're not going to go to IMF. We said all our flagship programs will not be touched. Do you get me? And we decided to just continue with our expenditure. We made some tokenistic cuts. So, and the problem, as you are saying, that government's decisions are worsening our situation, and the solution they're proposing doesn't seem to take cognizance of the fact that they are the guys who caused the mess in the first place. And I'm saying that from our side, if we keep going around, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want that, without coming together under one broad umbrella to make concrete demands which will affect all of us. Like, I think Sergio's group is very fantastic. They've said, look, number one, all individual bondholders don't accept it. Number two, if you are part of any scheme, tell your manager
Your
that
fund
don't
managers,
accept it.
yes.
Do you get me? But if new tag jump will go and say something, this person say something. If we go about it that way, this is what will happen. They will say, oh, we've increased the thing from 4 to 10. We've done that. By the time you know, 2 or 3 people go. I tell them, once 3 or 4 groups go and they start agreeing, they will go on with it. So there has to be, I think civil society should push for a conversation like the Senti type, where, or if not, let the debt exchange fail and force the government to come. So the alternative could be when nobody takes it up, because from Dame's analysis, you can't force people. If people don't take it up and it fails, then they'll be forced to come back and say, okay, maybe let's have a conversation with everybody. Maybe that's the solution. But so long as people will go and sit in the room with the government quietly, they'll give them their 2% that they want, and then they'll go out and keep quiet, then we are all going to suffer. So that's the way I see it.
So listening to the Citi Breakfast Show. We'll get to today's episode of the Effective Living series in a bit. Your messages are welcome on 0549986996. But Heritage Christian College is at Amasam, and they are behind the Olympic Stadium. They are affiliated to KNUST and accredited by GTech. They are offering BBA programs, BSc Information Technology, Bachelor of Theology, tutorials for professional programs, and media and IT short courses. They've got scholarships, they've got great faculty, and they've got 1 student, 1 laptop policy. You can get in touch with them on 0547 77731 or 0202 298 and you can visit their website hcuc.edu.gh to apply. Heritage Christian College, offering world-class university education and training compassionate entrepreneurial leaders. Now, are you getting good insights from your data for decision making? Join the data analytics revolution and empower your team to work smart, save time, and deliver insights from data using the world's most powerful business tools, Microsoft Excel and Power BI. Finex Skills Hub is offering hands-on practical training to corporates and individuals in Excel for work, data analytics, and financial modeling to help you improve productivity at the office. Register now at finexskillshub.com or call 0244 782 356 to sign up for their corporate and individual training sessions. Finex Skills Hub, learn, connect, grow. Still listening to the Citi Breakfast Show. We'll take a very quick break. When we come back, it's day 4 of week 2 of our Effective Living Series 2023.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's conversation.
welcome. It's day 4 of week 2 of our Effective Living series. And this week we are talking emotional and mental health imperatives for 2023. This morning, Bernard Avila will be speaking with Dr. Emmanuel Hobson on transforming your emotional health. Transforming your emotional health. And it's part of our Effective Living series brought to us by Enterprise Insurance and Hallmark Freight and Logistics Ghana Limited. So let's get into that conversation with Dr. Emmanuel Hobson on transforming your emotional health.
Welcome to another edition of your on-air series for the Effective Living Series 2023 on the theme 2023 Starter Pack. My name is Bernard Avile. This week we're focusing on emotional and mental health imperatives, and we're wrapping up the week with a conversation around managing or improving your emotional health or reinventing your emotional health. My guest is Dr. Emmanuel Hobson, who is a certified counseling psychologist. He is also an ADR and conflict resolution expert. He's a member of the Farm Life team on Citi FM. Every Saturday morning he's on. Doc, great to have you.
Great to have you.
How are you
doing? Great to be here. Great.
Transforming your emotional health is the topic I've given you.
Okay.
But just tell us what you do. You are a counseling psychologist. I haven't really heard that. I hear of counselors, I hear of psychologists. I didn't know there was the same thing.
Okay, you are a counselor and you are also a psychologist. So, a blend of counseling and psychology, because they do same thing, but at a point they are also working on different things at the same time. So putting it together, counseling and psychology, because that engages a broader perspective of dealing with psycho-emotional and therapeutic issues.
And you also do conflict resolution.
Yes.
And you are an ADR, as well as ADR.
Conflict resolution, ADR, is alternative dispute resolution.
Okay.
So I'm a conflict expert and alternative dispute resolution expert, and I lecture at the School of Law, University of Ghana. ADR.
So
at the master's
adversarial
program.
Legal litigation.
Yeah.
There are things like mediation,
conciliation, mediation, arbitration, which is called MEDAP. And God being so good, I developed the methodology called the CounseMed approach as well.
CounseMed approach.
Which is a hybrid of counseling and mediation, which looks at the human psychology in conflict situations, because most of the time the traditional approach to conflict resolution always deal with the substantive issues, forgetting about the human factor behind the situations and the issues they are dealing with. So having research into how the human factor, the human psyche, the human psychology, the human emotion bear on our day-to-day living, and that also influences our interpersonal relationship, because our interpersonal relationships is largely dependent on our intrapersonal relationship. So if you want to deal with conflict interpersonally and you ignore what the individual is going through intrapersonally, and you want to resolve it not from a litigation point of view, but from an amicable resolution perspective, then these emotions also need to be appreciated.
I see. So we're talking about transforming your emotional health.
Yeah.
And when we talk about emotional health, what are we talking about?
Talking about emotional health, first of all, I want to look at it from the human perspective primarily, because as human beings, those of us who believe in the trichotomy kind of theory, which means that the human being is a spirit, having a soul and living in a body. And when you take this trichotomy into consideration, you realize that the human person in the inside is rather the person's emotion, the person's mind, and the person's will. So it means that the person in the inside, between the spirit and the soul, is what you find the mind, the will, and then the emotion of the person, which to me forms a larger part of the person, which is about 85% of the person. As for the body, it's just about 15%.
Wow.
So the person we are talking about, who go through the various challenges and difficulties, which also define his life and environment, is about 85% in the inside, which is the mind, the will, and then the emotion. So you cannot separate the will, the mind, and the emotion from the person and still get the person. Well, the problem we have most of the time is that should anything happen to the body, maybe I have a fracture, I'll be put in POP. So people will appreciate that this is the fracture I have. But what about if the person in the inside is fractured? What about if the emotion is fractured? What about if the person's mind is underestimated, not taken into consideration? What about the person's will is trampled upon? What about the person's emotion being abused in the inside? So certainly, in interpersonal relationships, we need to understand the role our emotion play in the general perspective of taking human beings into consideration.
So in transforming one's emotional health, what are we talking about? We say we want to transform your emotional health. What are we saying?
We are talking about how to look at the contributive factors to your emotion and how to look at them to become well-balanced and healthy. Because there are a lot of things that contribute to your emotional status, which also will include maybe number one, your person type. Then number two, have psychoclinical issues, which are biological, which is also looking at the various hormonal exchanges and their contributing factors. So first we look at you, the person, your formation, your makeup, your proclivities, your idiosyncratical responses, from your intrapersonal perspective, what you are made up for, and how do you operate as a person before you were born. So when you were born also, you go through different kind of stages to become who you are today. You go through parental upbringing, you go through environmental contributing factors, including the school you attend, the subject you study, the role models you have seen in your life, how you have been brought up, the people who contributed into your life in one way or the other, even the friends you make. Then we talk about the geographical location, and then also that also influences your life and who you are becoming. Then we talk about your life experiences, what you have gone through. Have you received enough love? Have you been appreciated in life? What are some of the challenges you have gone through in life? In these things, we develop different kind of coping mechanism in order to stay afloat. So if you go through some of these challenges and possibly have developed some kind of coping mechanism, and maybe these coping mechanisms are not very adaptive, and you just use them in order to cope with a situation, and once they have been rewarded, you can keep them as a tradition, then that becomes a pattern of your life. And then as if it's not enough, then you get to a stage where you want to develop your personality because you want to prove and show how people should appreciate you. So with that one, it's not even realistic. Most of the time, it feels like a mask, because you want to perceive, how will I want to be accepted? How will I want to be appreciated? Then you put yourself in that kind of mode. So actually, talking about emotional health, these are some of the things that you have to look at and to know how to manage yourself. And that is why emotional issues are very complex, because they define how you define yourself, how you interpret your world, how you define other people, and how you relate with them.
Brilliant. This is the Effective Living Series. My guest is Dr. Emmanuel Hobson, and today we're talking about transforming your emotional health and a lot of things to work through. The intrapersonal, determining the interpersonal, and also man being a triune or tripartite being, and the interplay. And he also says the emotions and the spirit probably are a larger part of the person than the physical that we see. And then also he talks about how to identify and recognize your emotions based on all of those things. So Doc, when we say somebody understands their emotions.
Yes.
What does it mean? How does a person get to understand their own emotions?
The first thing for the person to understand his or her emotion is to understand themselves first.
Okay.
Which is their makeup. I remember I was reading something about Miles Monroe's explanation, and he was saying that the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but the greatest tragedy is to be on this earth without really knowing who you are until you pass away. There is one program in at the Kofi Annan Peace Center which we always write on. Is a 10 paper that students write on most of the time. We say, who am I? If you ask somebody who you are or who are you, the most important thing they will talk about is their name, where they come from, the work they do, and the rest will be the achievements they have made in life. Unfortunately, that is not you. The you in the you is the ability to appreciate your strength, your weaknesses, and how you interchangeably work out to mitigate the weaknesses and maximize the strength, and which also help you to be able to interrelate with others and then also impact your life, impact others, and impact society. So lacking your self-knowledge is the greatest challenge you will have as a person. So to be able to deal with your emotional health, it starts first of all with identifying who.
But how soon or how early in a person's life do they get in touch with their emotions?
They get in touch with their emotion right from childhood. The problem is that as children, they don't have the language to explain the kind of emotion they are going through. But that doesn't mean that they don't go through what they are going through. It's only that they don't have the expression. Because a child cannot tell you, I'm feeling irritated, I am paranoid, I am angry, I am afraid, I am anxious, I don't know how I am feeling. Children cannot say that, but yet they are going through something. They cannot explain it. So from childhood, yes, we go through certain emotional states. And then from when we are growing up, then we begin to put name and begin to link the emotion we go through with our everyday language with which we can express it. And Bernard, it is not only expressing it in language, but in your demeanor. That is why most of the emotional expressions can be seen in the person's facial expression, the person's non-verbal communication, and all that. You can see when somebody is sad through the person's face, and you ask, what is going on with you? You can see the person's face, you see the person is angry. What makes you know that the person is angry? It is because of an expression that the person has put up on his face or in his demeanor or the way he go about things. So we know our emotions from childhood, but we don't know how to explain it. But later on in life, we are able to link it with this. And even when we become adults, we still are learning how to link some emotions to language or wording that can explain them.
I spoke to Dr. Delali Fiagbe on, I think, Tuesday, and he was saying there's the biological, the psychological, and the social dimensions of mental and emotional health. So basically saying some of the issues are biological. He said, for example, if you don't have enough dopamine in your system, it can affect your enjoyment of certain things. Then he talks about how the society and social interaction can also affect a person's emotions. And then it also talks about thinking patterns. I don't know if you can just make any comment on that. The biological dimensions of this, the fact that some of it are just chemicals, and the fact that some of these are just interactions with society, and some of it is happening between your ears.
Yeah, they are all interrelated. But what happens most of the time, you know, our emotions are much developed by our limbic system from a biological point of view. And there are a series of chemicals who also influences our mood when we are talking about emotion. Then we are also talking about the interpersonal relationship with our environment, which also contribute to that. So these three perspectives will let somebody know what kind of emotion the person is going through, and even to be able to give interpretation to it in the first place. Now, when we talk about the chemical dimension, or we call it neurotransmitters, which also help our hormones to influence our mood, because the mood is derived from our hormones, and the hormones is derived from our limbic system, which is our mind or our brain. Now, let's say that the person intrapersonally is already prone to anger. So certainly the person will secrete certain hormones more than certain hormones. And certain hormones will react in the persons much more differently and higher dose than others. There's somebody who is already prone to joy, happiness, laughter, and all that. So the kind of chemicals that will also associate with the person's mood and also trigger some kind of emotional expressions will also be different. And then somebody who is not bothered about anything, it also has different kind of chemicals that are secreted. So there are certain type of people that are prone for certain level of hormones to be secreted much more than the others. However, the three parts contribute so much into explaining and expressing the individual's emotion. That is why you cannot just generically group emotional issues to suit everybody. Because individuals are different, what they go through are different. Even the social construct that we are talking about, the interpretation of the individual may be different from one person's interpretation, even though the event may be the same. And the interpretation may be coming from the individual's past, present, and how he's interpreting his future. It may even come from the person's value system. It can even come from the person's culture and the person's geographical contributing factors to who the person has become.
Is there anything as optimal emotion makeup? Or when we say somebody is in good emotional health, what does it mean? Can you give me an example?
Okay. To be in a good emotional health is very interesting. Number one, is the person able to observe how he feels and has been able to identify whether he's in a good mood or in a bad mood. It means the person has foreknowledge about his makeup and how he functions. And then secondly, be able to be comfortable with other people. There are some people, because they are not comfortable with themselves, it is very difficult to be comfortable with other people. Gone are those days when we say that the person is in a good mental health or good emotional state. The person should have absence of mental disease. Then we think the person is mentally or emotionally healthy. But now the definition has gone far beyond that. It is absence of the mental disease, ability to manage your life, ability to go through hassles and bustles of life, ability to cope with challenges and difficulties of life, and then maintain balance amidst the challenges. And then not that alone, but contribute to your personal well-being and development and that of society. Then you are emotionally balanced, which means that you must be comfortable with yourself, comfortable with other people. You must not underestimate yourself or overrate yourself. You must not try to create an impression which is not true about yourself. You must make sure that you have been able to create an environment that is peaceable to yourself and to others. And then also your interpersonal relationship, because we are relational beings. You are able to not look at things from your own point of view alone, but also appreciate how others will also feel by the way you are expressing your feeling. And that is why emotional intelligence or emotional maturity plays a major role in every aspect of our lives as a leader, as a husband, as a wife, as an entrepreneur, as any kind of person you are, to hold any position and be successful in life, certainly you must have emotional maturity.
This is still the Effective Living series. This is the 4th day of our 2nd week. We're looking at transforming your emotional health. This is part of our emphasis on emotional and mental health for the Effective Living series. My guest, Dr. Emmanuel Hobson. Doc, maybe help us to appreciate some emotional words, because I mean, we've been using the word emotion, but one of my previous speakers was talking about the spectrum of emotion, whether we can even give language to emotion. So he was grouping emotions into the glad emotions, the sad emotions, the bad emotions, and then the mad emotions. So anger, like vexation, being on the extreme side, sad could be depressed or lonely, glad could be excited, happy. So if you just walk us through the blend of emotions that a healthy person needs, because of course you can't be happy all the time. So again, he also talks about how we don't even have language for some of our emotions. So he did a test, he asked me how I felt, and I mentioned 3 or 4 emotions. Well, once you can even mention the emotion, it means that you're in touch with your emotions.
Yes.
So if you can just walk us through some of the emotions that we need to be aware of and not suppress, which then can help us manage them better.
Okay. When you talk about emotion and the different kind and types of emotion, research is still going on. At a point, we came to 27 different type of emotion, from 6, then from 4, from 3, then we come to 4, then we come to 12, then we come to 27, now we come to 30, now we are even looking at some 30,000 and plus kind of thing.
30,000 emotions.
Yes, because there are various things that are going on in the human personality, in the human emotion that probably may not have been happening in previous years. And when we take even now, the things we are going through, when we take a young boy or a young girl right now, things they know, things are triggered in them may not be things that we have gone through in the years past. So now there are different ways of redefining, renaming, and even reinforming the way we even approach the way we name some of these things. So the major ones, if say for instance you ask somebody, if you talk about emotion, when you hear the word emotion, what are some of the words that quickly run through your mind? I think the first one that ran through our mind is anger.
Yeah. I was thinking, well, yeah.
Then the other may be fear.
Okay.
Then the other may be sadness. Then we may talk about excitement, happiness, disgust, dissatisfaction, amusement, love. We may talk about surprises, being awe. Is also a kind of emotion we go through. Then envy, jealousy, embarrassment, guilt, shame. You see, there are different kind of emotions. But even if we take anger alone, we are looking now, they just say anger. And anger, we associate it with the various rush flow of adrenaline and cortisol that will trigger us to take actions and respond. But now, anger has now also been redefined. We have about 13 different types of anger when we talk about anger alone. You are talking about behavioral anger, you are talking about verbal anger, you are talking about self-inflicted anger, you are talking about retaliatory anger, you are talking about paranoid anger, you are talking about judgmental anger, you are talking about retaliatory anger. So even if you take anger alone out of emotion, 10 dimensions of anger. And when you come to therapy to want to deal with anger, and you want to say you are just dealing with the person's anger, then you have failed already as a therapist. You must get to that dimension of continuing education to get to know that if I'm going to be dealing with anger, I need to even first of all understand the type of anger the person is going through. That is the only way I can even identify what are the contributing factors and the cause of that particular anger. So certainly we have different kind of emotions. So it is always good, first of all, if you know yourself very well, it is very easy to know the kind of emotions you are prone to. So when it comes to different kind of difficulties of life and challenges, even in happy moments, the extent to which one person will go, even in happy moments, the extent to which somebody will express excitement will be different from how the other person will express it. So for instance, you take somebody who is a phlegmatic and is very happy. You buy a new car for a phlegmatic, throw the key at phlegmatic, he will just say, and you get so disappointed. You feel he's not appreciating what you have done for them. But give it to a sanguine person. You see him jumping all over the place, making you know that indeed. And it is not about the person who is even receiving it alone, but the giver. What is the person's predisposition of his person type to what he is doing? And what is the person's expectation? So these, apart from all these, also help us to appreciate how the emotion help you to perceive life and interpret other people. Because coming to the theory of perception itself, an emotional interpretation or triggers to perception is already another big area for us to understand, to be able to navigate through its challenges.
So your closing comments, what must people do to transition or get their emotions to work for them properly?
The first thing I want to say is know yourself. As much as you can, try to know yourself.
Okay.
And I want to entreat for those of you out there who want to know yourself. We have the ability, we have the technology, we have the lab analysis that will help you to know yourself. So you would not be just placing yourself in assumption and interpretation of other people. So when they ask you who you are, you'll be able to tell who exactly you are, because that influences your decision, your choices, and even help you to manage your life. You don't want to leave this world without really coming to know who you are. So you're just trying to be like other people till you die without really coming to know yourself. So when you get in touch, we can give you what you have to do in order to get your lab analysis so that you can be so proud of yourself and even your children. So you don't struggle to know what your children will do in the future and all that. That is just a plus that you can give to yourself as a New Year package. And then you need to actually question your opinions of life. Take responsibility. And also don't forget to know that life is a process. There may be some good times and there may also be some bad times. Many people don't know how to understand the dynamics of life. So they become so fixated. And once things don't go the way they feel it should go, the first thing is they get disappointed in themselves. There are still some people that can do that to themselves than other people.
Wow.
So the ability to know yourself and to be able to appreciate life is a process helps you. And then also to trust in your abilities.
Okay.
Learn to improve on yourself.
Okay.
And then also seek help.
Fantastic.
And if you are going through a particular emotion, don't attack the emotion. Attack what is going through your mind. Because your mind is a seed to your emotion.
I'm sure there's a lot of opportunity. We'll be talking about this more in future times.
Yes.
Dr. Hobson, thank you so much for speaking to us. He's been our guest on the fourth and final day of week 2 of the Effective Living series, where we focused on emotional health. Transforming your emotional health was our topic. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll be with you next time. Bye-bye.
Everywhere I go, everywhere that I've been, the only thing I see is beautiful people. Beautiful people. Beautiful people. Beautiful people. Oh, don't you know? Don't you know? Oh, you're beautiful. Don't you know? Oh, don't you know? Don't you know? Oh, beautiful. Don't you know? No, no. Live your life.
So that was day 4 of week 2 of our Effective Living series. Bernard Avle was talking to Dr. Emmanuel Hobson on transforming your emotional health. It's part of our emotional and mental health imperatives for 2023. That's our focus for week 2 of our Effective Living series. And it was brought to us by Enterprise Insurance and Hallmark Freight Logistics Ghana Limited. We will we'll be back tomorrow with an omnibus, a wrap of all the things we've discussed this week. So if you missed anything, you can tune in tomorrow on the Citi Breakfast Show. Like I said, Effectively Means is brought to us by Enterprise Motor Insurance. And we've managed to bring 2 people from Enterprise Motor Insurance to come and tell us about all the wonderful things they are doing. They have a new product out called the Woodier Womb Motor Insurance Promo. I'm sure you've heard me read the LPMs and all, but yeah, we've brought them in just to give us more detail, more clarity, more understanding. So I have Mark Addison. Mark Addison is head marketing and communications, and I also have Michael Labi. Michael Labi is head broker-led corporate distribution, and they are both with Enterprise Insurance. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the Citi Breakfast Show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are we doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you
Yeah,
too.
to you too.
Great. Michael, let me start off with you. Just tell us a bit about Enterprise Insurance. I'm sure some people know, some people don't. For those who do not know, what exactly is Enterprise Insurance and what specifically do you do?
Thank you. So before I go on, let me say good morning to you once again and to your cherished listeners, and thanks for having us. So Enterprise Insurance is the oldest insurance company in Ghana, having been established in 1924.
Wow.
So next year we are 100 years. And as
100 years.
100 years solid. And as it is said, the older the wine, the sweeter it is. We are also the leading general insurance company in Ghana, providing various insurance solutions from motor, fire, theft, aviation, marine, cybersecurity, terrorism, and the like. And we come from a great parentage, the Enterprise Group PLC. This is a financial services group which has other subsidiaries in life. So we have Enterprise Life, we have Enterprise Trustees, which is into pensions, your tier 2, your tier 3. We also have Enterprise Properties, which is into real estate.
That I didn't know.
You know now you know. And then we have Transitions, which is into funeral services. And then last but not the least, we have Acacia Health, which is into health insurance. We have around 15 branches with over 100 agency outlets dotted across the country. We are also the pioneers of the same-day claim payment service in Ghana. We started this, and we are noted for being first in a lot of things.
So which means if I file my claims,
yes,
I get it processed
same
and I'm
day.
paid
So
the
we have
same
2 centers, one in Accra at our airport office, and then another one at our Kumasi office in Kumasi. You go there with your claim, minor claims up to 5,000. You get there, the assessment is done, and everything is sorted. Same day, you get your payment either by Momo or by bank transfer.
I see.
Well noted. So that's at least what I can say for now for Enterprise Insurance about the company.
Wonderful. Those are some lovely things. Mark, let's talk about the promo, the Woodier Womb promo. What exactly is that all about?
Thank you very much, Nathan. Michael mentioned something very important. He said Enterprise is the first in many things. And the Woodier Womb promotion is a promotion that is a bit different from what we've been running previously. Previously, within the first quarter of every year, we run a promotion with instant rewards. But this time, what we are doing is we've extended the period beyond quarter 1. And so we are going up to June 2023. And the promo has 2 forms of rewards. We have the instant rewards, which is the fuel coupons, and then we have some nice gift items we give to you when you come in. So anybody who insures their motor vehicle, whether it's a new policy or it's an existing one that you are renewing, you get instantly free fuel coupon and nice gift items, and this depends on the value of your premium. Aside that, what we've introduced this year, which is different and new, is the monthly raffle draw. For the monthly raffle draw, we have 5 amazing rewards that customers stand a chance to win. We are looking at rewards such as the washing machine, iPhone 14. We have high pressure car washer. We have auto tire inflator, and then a vacuum cleaner. So at the end of each month, aside the instant reward of the free fuel coupon and the gift items, customers also stand a chance of winning any of these 5 items.
I see.
Yes, and so between January and June, we'll have 5 winners for each month. And then at the end of the promotion, there is a grand prize of a crotch rocket motorbike, which any customer who has insured between January and June could also win. But the monthly ones are specifically for the month.
Okay.
And so if you came in January, you stand a chance of winning at the end of January, and so on and so forth until the end of the promotion.
Okay.
And so this is the twist that we've added to this year's promotion.
Okay, so I noticed. Okay, so 2 things jump at me. One, the types of prizes you are giving out. I noticed they are all almost related to cars, right?
Yes.
You talk about pressure washer, all these, except the phone, though.
Yes, the phone and the washing machine.
And the washing machine.
Yeah.
The phone can be connected.
You can connect that to the car, so it works either way. And then I just want to know. So this promo, is it for those who are signing up, in terms of new customers, or is for existing customers, or is it a mix?
It's a mix of both. And so whether you are new to the enterprise insurance brand, or you are an existing customer who is renewing an old policy, both of you qualify. And this will lead me to the eligibility in terms of the criteria. Everybody who comes in who has a premium from 200 cedis and above qualify for this promo. And when it comes to motor insurance premiums, it falls within this range. Almost every premium from third party, whether it's a motorbike or a vehicle, a bus, 4x4, it falls within this range. And so once you come in as an old customer who is renewing your existing policy, or a new customer to enterprise insurance, you stand a chance of qualifying for any of these 5 rewards in the raffle draw at the end of the month.
Great. Michael, tell me, so why should people choose enterprise over the other? Somebody is listening. This sounds very exciting, but why should that person go from just listening to now making a concrete move towards signing up onto enterprise?
Of course, when you're insuring, you need to insure with a company that is solid financially. And we have been independently rated by a global credit rating of South Africa. This is a reputable rating agency. We've been rated AAA. This is the highest from that agency. It is also important, and it shows our financial strength, the fact that we are financially solid. We have that financial muscle to be able to do the business that we do. We are also very quick when it comes to claims payment. We pay claims promptly. Last year, we paid a total of 79.4 million cedis. This translates into a little over 217,000 cedis on a daily basis.
Wow.
On a daily basis.
Huge.
Like I've already said, we also have the same day claim payment centers to Accra and Kumasi. It is also important to note that we don't blow our own horn. We've won several awards, and it is a testament to the fact that we are best at what we do. So we are the only insurance company in the CIMG Hall of Fame. We've won awards from the Chartered Insurance Institute of Ghana. We've won awards from the Insurance Brokers Association of Ghana. We've also won various awards from various bodies. We are also a good corporate citizen. Apart from paying our taxes, we do a lot of corporate social initiatives and investments by way of financial literacy, construction of schools, libraries, donations to various institutions, health, and the like.
I see. Final words from the two of you, as we wrap it up.
Thank you once again, Nathan, and thank you to our listeners for granting us the audience. What we'd like to say is, for the Udie Womu Motor Promotion, as the name suggests, Udie Womu, you have a reward to win. Whether it's an instant reward or the raffle draw. And so anyone listening to us who has a motor insurance policy to insure should just not hesitate. Get into contact with Enterprise through either your brokers or your agents. You can also call us directly 0302 634 777, or even download the Enterprise Advantage app on Google Play Store, App Store, and transact with us. once you transact with us with a motor insurance policy, whether you are renewing or it's a new one, you win with Enterprise in the Woodyear Motor promotion. Thank you.
Wonderful. Michael, just finally, Mark has mentioned the numbers and all, but if somebody wants to physically show up at the office, I know people who don't like making calls, they want to come to the office. Where exactly can you be
We are
found?
all over the country. So at Tema, we are near the Melcom store. In Accra, we are at Airport near the National Service Secretariat.
Okay.
We have an office on the High Street opposite Barclays Bank. And all across the country, we have branches at La Paz, at Odoko, at Takrade, at Tamale, Kumasi, in Brome, what have you. We are all around.
Wonderful. So we heard it. The Enterprise Woodyear Motor promo is out there. So if you are signing up as a new customer or you are renewing your policy, just do that and you get to win great prizes. And there's a motorbike to be won at the end of the promo period, which is in June. June. So that's it. Thank you so much. I had Mark Addison, Head Marketing and Communications, and Michael Labi, Head Broker-Led Corporate Distribution. All of them are with Enterprise Insurance, and we've been talking about the Enterprise Insurance Woodyear Motor Insurance promo. Guys, thank you so much for coming through.
Thanks for
and
having
have
us.
a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Still listening to the Citi Breakfast Show. We'll take a very, very quick break. When we come back, we go through your comments and we call it a morning. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Get ready for a world of
We are resorting to more expensive chemicals to be able to get to be able to reduce the process losses. If you go to Odaso, if we were not using the polyelectrolyte, we might not have been able to even get up to 30% of the water to send to Obuasi. But with the use of the polyelectrolyte, we are doing about 50%. And so at every time, you have to increase costs. If you are using the aluminum sulfates, you will have to use, the more aluminum sulfate you put in your water, the more other chemicals that you put in to correct your pH level. So at all times, the costs continue to go very, very high. And I think that if PURC can allow us to pass on the cost to the citizens, yes, politically it might have some implications. But when people begin to see the cost, I'm sure we'll all go onto the rivers and directly get the people who are doing that damage away. If we don't take that seriously, I'm sure even our rivers will die. We are resorting to more expensive chemicals to be able to get to be able to reduce the process losses. If you go to Odaso, if we were not using the polyelectrolyte, we might not have been able to even get up to 30% of the water to send to Obuasi. But with the use of the polyelectrolyte, we are doing about 50%. And so at every time, you have to increase costs. If you are using the aluminum sulfates, you will have to use, the more aluminum sulfate you put in your water, the more other chemicals that you put in to correct your pH level. So at all times, the costs continue to go very, very high. And I think that if PURC can allow us to pass on the cost to the citizens, yes, politically it might have some implications. But when people begin to see the cost, I'm sure we'll all go onto the rivers and directly get the people who are doing that damage away. If we don't take that seriously, I'm sure even our rivers will die.
is the worst case scenario we will see in the next 6 months if we don't stop this now? You've said 100% in some areas polluted, 60 some.
Yeah.
What's the worst case scenario with regards to our water security as a country in the next 6 months?
The immediate one will be that probably we will not get treated water from that water company. They will have to shut down. The long term is that most of their equipments will be destroyed forever and they have to bring in, so it goes back to the investments. But apart from just us getting water to drink, agriculture is affected already. We are going to have food security issues, not just water security. Economic growth will suffer. We are already in a system where we are struggling to see how best we can come out of this. So it is a complete system.
What is the worst case scenario we will see in the next 6 months?
So this one says, good morning, guys. Is there a possibility that T-bills could be added to the debt exchange program? I'm considering buying one and some T-bills, but I don't want any haircut.
No, I think the government has been very clear on T-bills, and with all the changes they've made, they've because if you add T-bills, there's nothing that the government cannot add T-bills because that's the only way they can get money. So they will not add T-bills. So as for that one day, I can tell you for free, they will not add T-bills.
Okay, more comments coming in. This one from Ruben in Dansuman says, hi, bro. Good morning. Not a good morning, but thankful for life. Please assist, explain further on the pension funds to be affected or not in respect to Tier 2, Tier 3. Very important, please, because my Tier 3 has seriously been slashed without any proper information. Please help.
So that's from Ruben. Well, the government says negotiations on the specific terms of an agreement with the pension funds are continuing and will be made public once an agreement on the details is reached.
Okay. More comments coming in. This one says, Nathan, this haircut business has now moved to haircut Charlie Matao. I had a small investment with a value of 2,783 Ghana cedis as of November 2022. I applied for retirement and hey, I was paid 612 Ghana cedis. Pension. How do I survive?
That's not a haircut. They've amputated your head.
That's right. That's Ahmad Addison. This is serious. That's it's not even that. The 783 on itself. What did they give me, Charlie? Charlie. No, Charlie. No. That's heartbreaking. And this one says, hello, Nathan. Is this whole debt exchange program directly going to affect the army as well? Asking for
what kind of question is that?
It says, after being swindled by Nam1 and Men's Gold, the banking sector cleanup sent my banker brother home and turned him into a taxi driver. And now this? So perhaps he is working within the army and wants to know whether...
No, I don't know where you pay your pensions to.
Yeah, you know, a lot of the army folks, you know, somehow invested in this number one.
I'm even surprised they were conned by that thing.
Charlie, if you know the people who invested in that thing.
Catch them. See, you know, they went to do some mystery shopping.
Wait, all people did that.
You know, they went to do some mystery shopping. So it turns out, according to some investigation, some of the people allegedly, after doing the mystery shopping, they're like, so they went to drop some coins and hoping for a quick turnaround. Charlie, you don't know. I remember when it happened. Bernard was telling us that there was a couple where apparently the husband and wife, both of them had invested secretly,
they don't tell them about it.
Unbeknownst.
I tell you. So the woman they tell me, say, Charlie, my husband doesn't know.
They say, no. This one says, Citi, please tell me the difference between what's happening now and Men's Gold Program and other money doubling schemes. And if those acts were criminal, how do you describe this? This whole bond thing is literally killing people. This one says that, good morning, Citi CBS team. I received this message from my bank, Fidelity Bank. I hope it means or it has nothing to do with the government's debt restructuring program. It says, dear client, Government of Ghana is exchanging eligible bonds, which is GOG bonds and notes, Dachi and ESLA, for new bonds. Eligible investors who purchase bonds through Fidelity Bank and are interested in exchanging the bonds should contact their RMs, which is relationship manager, or visit the branches or our branches not later than 2 p.m. on January 13th.
What do you mean you hope this is not?
You can't believe it.
How can you hope that this is not? This is the debt exchange.
Yeah, looks like he doesn't understand.
The bank is actually doing the responsible thing. They are writing to you to tell you that the government has initiated the process. Do you want us to do it or not for you? And you are saying you hope that.
It means you have to go there.
It has everything to do with it.
So wake up this morning, go there and talk to your relationship manager. This one from C-Men says the government is a serious debtor yet wants to bully everyone. How dare them threaten bondholders with a take it or leave it attitude just because no one can touch it?
You can leave it and get a lower return on your money now or go to court.
Yeah, I mean, to go to court, and some people want to do that. This one said, good morning, Nathan and Citi FM. If my memory serves me correctly, I lost some my investment of 5 years ago. Access Bank gave me the first slap, then followed by the Star Capital Plus. They also gave me the second slap. Now, this has been my saving towards my twin daughter's university fees. Now I am looking for students' loan. I can't because my daughters don't have the Ghana card, but I have the card. My daughters can't because of the card. I don't understand. Okay, so I think what he's trying to say is that because they don't have the Ghana card, they can't access students' loan. Yes, the students' loan. This is my predicament regarding my daughters, and perhaps he's asking for some help in that particular regard. Well, try and go to the NIA offices and then sit there for as long as you can and make sure that you get
interesting one.
Okay, let's read that then.
This one says, my fund manager has readjusted their rates. Given the rates given the debt restructuring plans. Hitherto, I was getting between 17 to 20%. At the current rollover, I got 1.5%. Woo! Another issue, if government bonds are no longer safe, as we used to think, then it means fund managers would have to find other securities to invest in. There is that long-term impact on the government finances, given that they lose credibility for domestic funding.
That's very true.
Wow.
Wow. Very, very interesting. Very worrying. The engagements will have to continue. I hope that government will come to the table, meet a lot of these interest groups and figure out the way forward. But that's a Citi Breakfast Show for the morning. The full house was here with me. Bernard was here. Richard was here, Koki was here, Godfred was also here. Fred Jabano and Caleb Kuda produced the show. Godfred Odum supported us on technical. The news at 10 is next. Netele Neti Ajaho is here. She's here with the news. News at 10. Netele, what's in the news?